Today is Monday, June the 2nd. This Committee of Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Griffin.
Here.
Bishop. Halliwell. Ray. Harrison. Harsh. Here. House Jones. Here. Jones. Casey.
Present.
Kelly.
Present.
Moore. McCormick.
Present.
Valencia.
Present.
Santana. Sly. Spencer. Scott. Mr. Chairman, you have
Thank you. We're going to bring up guests first. So I do have guests for community relations, then economic development, and then we do have a few pieces for port control. So Community Relations Board, if you could come up to the table first. Thank you. All right, this is ordinance number 624-2025 by Council Members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Community Relations Board to enter into a contract with Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division to conduct the 2025 and 2026 pre-arrest support services program and to enter into one or more contracts with various agencies, entities, or individuals to provide services necessary to implement this ordinance. Director?
Good morning. First, I want to introduce who we have at the table. I have Sharice Dawson, who is the administrative manager over the youth diversion program, and as well as Bridget Gibbons, who is the deputy court administrator from Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court. What we hope to do with this program, which we're calling it PASS, Pre-Arrest Support Services, is we hope to work with the police departments. We want to pilot in the 1st and the 5th district. We have already met with commanders and the police staff of trying to prevent youth kind of going through the regular diversion system, so to speak. This is a grant that the juvenile court applied for. It is going to have police kind of, when they pull over low-level offenses, which you all are aware what youth diversion does here in the city of Cleveland, it's to take a youth under 18 and the officer will actually refer them to diversion. This prevents them from getting kind of a record, so to speak, and also that paper trail that we often talk about that young people seem to get once they get in trouble. So we're trying to pilot this again like in the 1st and 5th, and I'm going to turn it over a little bit to Sharice Dawson to talk about it, and as well as Deputy Court Administrator Gibbons.
Good morning.
Morning.
Through the chair to the committee. Basically, what we'll do is we're going to make contact with the families within 48 hours of the referral from the police officers. We'll do a brief needs assessment intake, and we're going to refer the youth to services and programming immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good morning. Thank you all for the opportunity. Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court is very grateful for this partnership with the City of Cleveland. I did want to emphasize that the goal of this really was co-designed with law enforcement. We had focus groups with line officers up to commanders to explore ways that we could help young people in the community get linked directly to services. We were also intentional about making sure that law enforcement had supports in the moment for young people that they see it's their first contact with the court. They're relatively low level, but they are in need of services. Law enforcement, did express to us that they oftentimes are, come in contact with young people and they don't have a lot of tools or services to refer to them. So our goal with this is to reduce future recidivism by keeping kids out of the youth justice system. Oftentimes we're more successful by diverting them back to appropriate community supports within the community. We did want to express our gratitude to you all for this opportunity. This is a grant through the state of Ohio. It was a competitive bid process that we pursued to work directly with the City of Cleveland in the 1st and 5th districts.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Mike Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No one reached out to me on this piece, so I'm not here to stop it, but I would hope to get a briefing at some point. This is the first time hearing about it.
Okay, we'll talk with the policy staff because they gave me the inclination that you were okay with moving it towards committee.
No, they have not talked with me about it. So
okay.
Again, I don't want to hold it up because I think something like this is very important. So again, I would expect some briefing at some point very soon. Thank you.
All right, please make sure that we get together with Councilman with that. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 624-2025? Councilwoman Jenny Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I notice from the legislative summary that the 1st and 5th districts have been identified for the program. Through the chair, may I ask how those districts were selected?
To the chair and to the councilwoman, actually, when we met with the commanders, the 1st and the 5th kind of volunteered. The 2 commanders wanted to be the first to try this pilot out. And also, we did look at the numbers, and I do have the updated numbers of youth diversion per ward if you all wish to see that as well.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Chair, I simply want to add that Ms. Gibbons came out to Ward 15 for a community presentation in the spring, and she was absolutely fantastic in terms of describing to community members the diversion services that the juvenile court offers, and I think it was really helpful to community members to hear directly from the court. So I wanted to take a moment to thank Ms. Gibbons here at the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to our presenters, you indicated that if a youth gets stopped in a traffic stop, you said that, but I'm sure there's more to it than just that. So I'm sure if a 16 or 17-year-old rolls a stop sign, he's not going into diversion, if there's nothing wrong. So can you explain the process of what are the low-level offenses, or how are you going to?
Through the chair to the councilman, it will be actually low-level misdemeanor offenses. So assaults, theft, criminal trespassing, domestic violence. We may have some low-level felony offenses such as RSPs as well. So.
And then, Mr. Chairman, to the presenters, what's some examples of some diversion? What are the programs? And are the parents a part of the diversion itself, or the custodians or whomever's watching over the kid?
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, the parents do have to consent for the youth to participate, and we're going to refer them to a lot of positive structured activities that we are in contract with or have relationships with. We want to make sure the youth, if they need mental health services, we're going to refer them to mental health services, drug and alcohol treatment, those type of programming.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the presenters, I understand that the parents have to sign off, and it's no surprise that I used to be involved with the juvenile court and the diversions and all that other stuff. And part of our program back then was that the parents actually had to participate in the program for diversion, which was the toughest part of when I ran the diversion program, was actually getting the parents to reconnect with their youth. So I understand that the parents have to sign off, but is there any of the programs that enforce the fact that the parents and the youth have to engage and go through the diversion together?
Can I speak? So for services that we typically refer, it is ideal for caregivers to be involved in participating. But since this is law enforcement driven diversion, if a parent is refusing to be engaged, we would still allow the young person to be participating in the diversion services.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions regarding ordinance number 624-2025? Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones.
Thank you. Through the chair to the team here, good morning. Just a couple of questions. What case management tool is being utilized, for this type of stuff? Or like what type of assessment tool is being utilized at the onset when you talk about the identification from our, first responders from the 1st and 5th districts in order to be able to steer young people to this pilot?
Through the chair to the councilwoman. So we are actually looking into our needs assessment. That's something we'll identify this week, but we do have an intake tool that we use for our other diversion program that we're going to utilize for now. But we are going, the needs assessments, we will have that identified this week.
All right. And then could that make sure a copy of that be sent to us? And then that's just a request. The follow-up was through the chair to the team here. As this is a pilot, what is the anticipated caseload that was designed as part of this pilot? Based on the numbers and statistics that you have been seeing in both the 1st and 5th district, what do you anticipate, or what is the planned case?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, the anticipated number of youth that we would like to serve is 60 youth per year.
Okay, thank you. And then the follow-up, through the chair to the team here, how does it plan to, I would say, utilize the knowledge capture, knowledge transfer? So what is the intentional use? It's a pilot, but then how would that be able to be utilized for other districts who are not in the pilot? And what is like the systematic way? Because I know we do a lot of pilots here, but it never seems that the information is shared, no learning, and when you go to look for the information, is nowhere to be found. And I'm just saying it from a perspective, me being where I am, and in the community that I am. A lot of times we're not in the selective few, and we never get the benefit of the learning. So how would that, or what is the plan for that?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, as we work collectively with the juvenile court and other organizations throughout the county, we hope to look at what goes on in the first and fifth, if this is successful. The goal is to look at resources, see where we can pilot it in other police districts. And also, we hope to brief you all on a regular basis of the progress. We do monitor the numbers, again, like I said, by ward. And so in some wards, they're not facing as many juvenile diversion cases, so to speak. But it's definitely, as we've talked with the juvenile court, we're trying to revisit to see what does that look like after the first 6 months in the first and the fifth district, to what does it look like to try to pilot another, or we might need to shift into that district with this particular project.
Okay, well, thank you, because I've known my office has been meeting with Ms. Gibbons, and we're trying to set up some level of youth circles and things of that nature, so it will be helpful as you move on, whatever learnings you all are having, to be able to share so that other people can take what's being utilized and implemented in other communities. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 624-2025 stands approved. Please make sure that you get together with Councilman Polensik for a briefing, and Ms. Odie Martins, if you can make sure that the follow-up for Councilwoman House Jones' request to get a copy of the assessment form is followed up on. And I'm going to ask everybody once again, sign both committees that you are on. I originally thought this was relieved. It was not relieved. Please just write, if you are in safety, make sure that you sign the safety and the finance committee part if you're on the safety committee, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have a couple of guests for economic development, and I'm going to ask if they can all come to the table. 499, 600, 672, 1241. In that order. So first we have ordinance number 499-2025. 499-2025 by Councilmember Spencer, Hairston, and Griffin. By departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a tax increment financing agreement with Shoreway Tower LLC and/or its designee to assist with the financing of Shoreway Tower to be located at 1200 West 76th Street, to provide for payments to the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, and to declare certain improvements to real property to be a public purpose. Director?
Thank you, Council President, members of the committee. Joined here today by Afoma Ezekwe from our staff who's been working with this, as well as Adam Comer, who is with developer J-Rock, who has been working on this project for Shoreway Tower in Ward 15 of the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood. Thank you very much. So I am going to hand it over to Mr. Comer to talk briefly about the project, and then we are going to come back around and kind of talk to you a little bit about how we're supporting this.
Thank you for having me. Through the chair to the committee, this is a project that builds on the success and demand that we've seen for our existing Shoreway building, which was a project that used historic tax credits back in 2014 to create 45 residences in the Battery Park neighborhood. The new project will take what's currently a surface parking lot and create, when complete, 161 units with comprised of both studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedroom units as well. In addition, there'll be roughly 4,000 square feet of retail space that will ultimately kind of contribute to the variety of housing units in the Battery Park and Detroit Shoreway neighborhood.
And you can see a little bit about the new construction that goes on there, image of kind of how that transformed that vacant space. So a little bit about, we are providing a TIF for this project. As you know, this is a non-schools TIF, so, if you look at it over the 30-year period, we're looking at additional tax revenues, of $1.7 million that are coming in over that, of which $868,000 are going to Cleveland Metropolitan School District. So you add those together, it's about $1.14 million of new revenues that are coming into the city had it not been for this nearly $90 million investment that J-Rock is making in this part of the city. And additionally, there is a signed community benefits on this. We worked very hard with Councilwoman Spencer and Director Mitchell coming to, I think, a pretty unique community benefits agreement on here. So in addition to, many of the normal things that occur in community benefits, whether that be the internships and the apprenticeships that take place that Mr. Comer can speak more about, I think something that was very important to the residents of this part of the city through community conversation was going on is this extension of Battery Park Boulevard East, which you can see there is kind of this green leg that comes in through there. So there was initially Battery Park Boulevard was extended a handful of years ago heading eastward, right? And so this little section that goes from West 76th Street to 78th Street currently on private land that goes through there creates a real bottleneck of not allowing residents to kind of get from 76th over to 78th, where 78th Street Studio is. So the developer is actually placing $500,000 into design and capital work for that project. We are coordinating with the Mayor's Office of Capital Project on that. Again, this was a pretty unique community benefits agreement. It took quite a bit of work between Councilwoman Spencer, multiple agencies at the city and the residents, but I think we're really excited to see something move forward in this nature.
Outstanding, thank you. I believe this has already passed DPS. Councilwoman Spencer, did you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take a few moments to add a few comments. This project, first of all, has been fully vetted by many parts of the city. It went through multiple rounds of review by Landmarks Commission, was approved with flying colors there, also Board of Zoning Appeals. So this has been a long journey for this project. During DPS, Councilman Hairston really invited us to a great conversation around this is a market rate project. It's an unabashedly market rate project, if you will. And as you all know, I've really, during my tenure on council, focused on and championed affordable housing. That said, this is a unique project. It absolutely fills a market niche in our community, and it has enjoyed wide support from the city. So I wanted to take a moment to, first of all, recognize and thank the ED department, but also Office of Equal Opportunity. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first project, or nearly the first, to have gone through our brand new community benefits ordinance process. And it was a good process. I thought OEO did an outstanding job. And then one more note on this connector road, and it's interesting, we have former Councilman Zone sitting here for another piece of legislation today. This Battery Park connector was the missing piece that goes back a decade or more that we wanted to get done for the community. Former Councilman Zone was able to get the first connector done to the east. This was the last remaining part. This is currently in a legal cut through that is extremely dangerous. There are really dangerous driver behaviors, a lot of vehicle pedestrian near misses, if you will, potential conflicts. And so this $500,000 contribution towards this roadway by the developer, I think, is an important part of this community benefits agreement. The other piece I will mention is that Unfortunately, in the reality we're inhabiting, costs of infrastructure are very expensive and getting more so, but seemingly year to year. So in the event that this would be truly a public-private partnership, the city would be involved to also bring additional capacity to the table to actually complete this connector. If there were an eventuality in which it could not move forward, the future council person would be able to renegotiate the community development with support of this council to deploy that $500,000 contribution in a different way in the community. So that won't remain in limbo indefinitely. I believe the CBA has sort of a date certain in there, or a date by which that would be decided, and then the investment by the developer could be deployed in another way. Although I very, very much hope that this connector does occur. I think it would be a tremendous asset for the community. It would do a great deal to open up the neighborhood to 78th Street Studios and Points West, and it would really create a new, a much more safe passage for visitors and residents alike. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seems like an exciting project. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 499-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 499-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next, we have ordinance number 561-2025 by Council Members McCormick, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the application to add certain parcels of real property to the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority District, and to amend the petition for establishment of the North Coast. Are they here? Are they here? All right, we'll go to the next one and come back to them later. Okay. All right, you can come back to the table. Next up is ordinance number 672-2025 by Council Members Harsh, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor and the commissioner of purchases and supplies to acquire and reconvey properties presently owned by Old Brooklyn Community Development Corporation and/or its designee located at the intersection of Memphis and Pearl Road in the Old Brooklyn neighborhood for the purpose of entering into the chain of title prior to the adoption of tax increment financing legislation authorized under Section 5709-41 of the revised code for the Memphis and Pearl project. Director.
Thank you, Council President, members of the committee. So again, I am joined here by Foma Zepwe from our staff, who has been working with this, as well as Amber Jones from the Old Brooklyn Community Development Corporation, and Austin Kaler from Tipping Point, the developer, who's been working on this, and Charles Kennick from the Old Brooklyn Development Corporation, as well as Councilman Harsh, who has come on to the end of the stage. So this is a really exciting project at the intersection of Memphis Avenue and West 25th Street. Not lost on me that last weekend was the opening of Central Via 25, and I remember sitting here saying that this was the type of project that you can build a neighborhood around. I think that we are again at a point where we have the type of project that can really kind of swing and transform a neighborhood, and this is something that the Old Brooklyn Development Corporation has been working on with Councilman Harsh for a number of years to get to this point. So we're here today to talk about the chain of title portion of the legislation, but with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Jones and her team to briefly talk about the development, and then we'll come back through with how we're supporting it.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here and hearing this project. This project is a transformational project for the Old Brooklyn community, and we have been working and stewarding this project for the last 5 years. We haven't seen investment like this in Old Brooklyn in more than 50 years. And this project will be a adaptive reuse. So looking at the buildings right now, we have two churches, Pearl Road United Methodist Church and former St. Luke's Church Sanctuary, which will be readapted for use for this project, as well as new construction of 6 stories for both commercial and residential. For market rate construction. We have done a lot of community engagement throughout this process. We have hosted multiple engagement sessions with our community to hear exactly what their needs are and what they would expect and need in this project. And most recently, in April, as part of our work through Near West Design for our concept approval and through Planning Commission. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Austin to talk more about the TIF itself.
There we go. All right, good morning. Thank you all for your time. Up until April of this year, the project was committed to not pursuing a TIF. We had a very strong capital stack and a very manageable gap. But due to changes at the federal level, talks and implementation of tariffs, that has really driven up our construction pricing and then trickled down from that into the lending market. HUD, our primary lender, through the 221D4 market rate program. It's historically a very conservative lending program. Through these tariff announcements, became even more conservative through their underwriting requirements and their interest rates. So the development team is committed to seeing this transformational project through, and that's why we're kind of putting egos to the side and coming to the city to request approval on this TIF.
Thank you. I don't see the chair of DPS, but I know that he was fine moving this along. Councilman Chris Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will just echo what's already been said. This is the most important project to take place in Old Brooklyn, a neighborhood of 34,000 residents in well over half a century, possibly going back 90 years since Deaconess was originally built. Not only are we introducing new residential and commercial development on this site, we're saving a 120-year-old church. St. Luke's that you see right there was originally constructed 120 years ago, and some years after that, an addition was put onto the side of it. In order to save the church, we are taking down the addition, but that will restore the church to its original historic footprint. And as we all know, preserving 120-year-old churches is not the cheapest thing you can do in the world. So this project was really designed to be able to save that church, something that was very, very high on the priority list of residents. There was, when I came into office, a proposal to knock everything down, clear the whole corner and put in LIHTC. We were denied those funds. The state said we didn't have the right math for a LIHTC project. This is exactly what it means to be a middle neighborhood. We are denied some of those state projects that help with struggling communities, but we don't have enough valuation to just bring in the private market on its own. So this is truly a community-driven process, a community-driven development, and this is I think, a good poster child for what it means to make smart regional investments in middle neighborhoods. So I fully support this, and I encourage all of my colleagues to support this as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Harsh. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 672-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to 600-2025. I believe Ms. Trevisano, is she here? Ms. Trevisano is going to hear this. This is ordinance number 600-2025 by council members Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Economic Development to amend agreement number 50086 authorized by ordinance number 1235-95 passed December 13th, 1995 with the village of Highland Hills to expand territory in the development area to include the former House of Corrections site located on Mill Creek Boulevard. Ms. Trevisano.
Councilman, I'm sorry, I don't think this is my piece of legislation. The new community authority is 561, but I'm not speaking to this piece.
Okay, new community authority is 561.
That's
I had
right.
this down for 600. Is Ms. Inez, who is here for 600? This is the one that you have as a guest, and they said that a guest is here? Okay, let me move on. I'll come back to that one. 561. I'll deal with 561. 561. Ordinance number 561-2025 by council members McCormick, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance approving the application to add certain parcels of real property to the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority District and to amend the petition for establishment of the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority as a new community authority and declaring an emergency. Ms. Trevisano.
Thank you to the chair and to the committee members. Jessica Trevisano, Senior Advisor in the Mayor's Office. I was here not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago, with Scott Skinner, the Executive Director for the North Coast Waterfront Development Corporation. He was planning to be here today, but had some childcare with his 4-week-old baby, so we'll give him a little bit of leave. I have a presentation. I don't know if we're able to, 561, 2025. But I can kind of talk over what we're going to talk about, and we can fly through the presentation. The new community authority is an economic development tool established by the state that allows the city and developers to put properties within a specific geographic region, and those property owners are able to self-select into certain charges or fees that will ultimately benefit all of the property owners or lessees within the new community authority. The first time we were in front of you, we added some city-owned property, items like Willard Parking Garage, the Muni lots, the space north of the stadium. This piece of legislation is to add additional property to the new community authority, the Brown Stadium property, Burke Lakefront, the Great Lakes Science Center, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The first time we were here, we told you that we were going to have to come back because of how the state law is structured, and so this is us coming back.
Okay. Councilman McCormick, this is in the area that you serve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we discussed in detail in the original round of the kind of structure and those involved and our appointments on this committee, as a reminder, Councilman Hairston represents this body on that committee. So we've kind of went through that whole presentation before. As Mr. Trevisano noted, this is simply adding those additional properties that were mentioned in that first presentation. Mr. Chair, we held a public meeting on Thursday of last week here to discuss these pieces as well, which was successful. So fully support this legislation.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding 561-2025? Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you.
Councilman Mike Valencia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Trevisano. Maybe you'll have to refresh my memory, right? I thought when we set this up that the stadiums were not going to be included in this. Now we're adding the property where the stadium currently sits at.
To the councilman, we had always planned to add the stadium property because of the way the state law is set up. We couldn't do it in the initial round, and so we always planned, and in our presentation back earlier this year, we had said we would be back to add the additional property.
Okay, and is there support from the businesses where this is all going to land?
There is, to the councilman through the chair, the businesses who have leases, so specifically the Great Lakes Science Center, by the way that their lease is structured, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame actually had to sign a petition actively adding those properties to the NCI, and so they're fully supportive.
Those businesses had to sign off?
That's right.
The Rock and Roll and the Science Center?
That's right.
What about the stadium? Did they have to sign off?
The HSG or the Browns did not have to sign off just because of the way that the lease is structured, but in conversations with them, they understand the value of the new community authority, and we're still working through exact charges for each entity.
And one last question, Mr. Chairman and Ms. Trevisano, did they provide a letter of support?
To the councilman, through the chair, they did not provide a letter of support, but we did not ask them to provide one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Michael Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to just follow up on Councilman Casey's line of questioning. So what are the implications by including the stadium in this? What are those implications?
To the councilman, through the chair, it provides an opportunity to work with the lessee, so the Cleveland Browns, to determine specific charges that could then go into the new community authority sort of fund. I will also say that new community authorities run with the land, and so if something was to change with the stadium land sometime in the future, it would also provide some additional opportunities for the new community authority continuing to apply to that land.
So it's strictly for the land that the stadium sits on?
That's to the councilman through the chair. The new community authority, and I'm sorry I don't have my slides, but it really goes from approximately West 3rd all the way to the end of Burke, north of where we sit right now.
Okay. And that would be where again, to the viewing public, where the tenants or property owners would have to agree to any charges.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 561-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 561-2025 stands approved. All right, we have ordinance number 1241-2025. And let me make sure. Yeah, that's a guess. Where's that at? Is that, which one is that? All right. I know Chief Epstein asked that. Ladies and gentlemen, what we try to do is get guests out the way first, but we got a lengthy agenda, so I'm just going to start going in order, okay? Because this is not working to try to drop guests in here. One second, give me 1 second. Everybody's trying to work their hand today. I got you. All right, we're going to go through these port control pieces because they have to get out to Industry Day.
635.
Give me 1 second. I got to do port control. Everybody's trying to get guests up. I get port control out of here, and then I'll get back to guests. All right? All right, this is ordinance number 1241-2024, as amended by council members McCormick and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the director of port control to enter into an amended lease agreement with IX Center Corporation or wholly owned subsidiary to extend the term of the lease for 49 years, to change the lease premises and other changes to the original lease. And the amendment reads as follows. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. In section 1, lines 11 and 14, strike 327 and insert 237 in both places, and in line 15, strike and. Number 2, in section 1, after line 15 and before the last amendment item, insert a new amendment item to read as follows. Additional consideration whereby lessees shall pay the city an amount equal to a percentage of the employment wages allocated to and allocated by the city of Cleveland from the premises up to an annual cap of $23,000 in employment wages allocated to the city of Cleveland as follows. 1, lease years 1 through 16, 1% of employment wages, and 2, lease years 17 through 49, 1.5% of employment wages. This obligation is expressly conditioned upon the terms of the settlement between the cities of Brook Park and Cleveland dated September 6, 2001 regarding the IX tax payments as defined in settlement agreement. If the terms of the IX tax payments are modified in any way, lessee's obligation hereunder shall be reduced by any such reduction of the city's obligation to make any such IX tax payments to Brook Park. And this is dated 528-25 by Rich Berdovich, Chief Assistant Director of Law. Director Francis.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chief Epstein will be presenting the item for the IX Center this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council President and Committee. Jeff Epstein, Chief Integrated Development, joined by Austin Samarjan from ICP. We've been working this piece of legislation along with Port Control. I'm going to give a little bit of background on this and then let Austin talk about his group and their ownership. The IX Center is a complicated asset. It is owned by the airport, by the city. It is located within the city, and it is on a long-term lease, which is currently held by IRG, ICP, including land around it with the parking lot, and I'll show you a map in a minute. It's about 159, 160 acres, and Austin and his team took over the lease a couple of years ago? A couple of years ago. The rent on the building, which was again subject to the long-term lease, is paid to the airport, but under the terms of an old settlement agreement dating back to the acquisition of the IX Center with the city of Brook Park, the taxes that are generated by activity at the IX Center are paid to Brook Park. The city gets them and remits them to Brook Park. That is, again, part of a long-term settlement deal. And those are taxes as of 2008 when the settlement deal was negotiated. The city has gotten some tax revenue out of this. The difference between what Brook Park's emissions tax and the city's emissions tax, but the majority of the taxes go to the IX Center. The current lease ends in 2039. Which is about 14 years left, and the new lessor came to us and said, hey, we want to make some improvements to the building, we want to do some things with the building, we've got plans here, but we can't finance that under the terms of the current lease, and we cannot secure any type of long-term commitments because we only have 14 years left on the lease. And so for about the last 2 years or so, we've been working with Port Control and with the airport to negotiate terms for an extension. I'm going to let Austin talk a little bit about what the plans are for the building.
Good morning, Council. Thank you for having me today. Good morning, Council. Thank you for having me today. I'm Austin Samaritan, Executive Vice President at Industrial Commercial Properties. We acquired the lease to the IX Center a few years ago, as Jeff mentioned. We are a industrial redevelopment company. We've done several projects throughout the city of Cleveland. We are working with a Fortune 100 company to bring 250-plus jobs to the IX Center. North of 1 million square feet on that lease for a long-term commitment. We've been working with Jeff and his team and the airport as well in order to get a longer lease so we can make the proper improvements and give the client the comfort that they have a long-term home here.
Thank you. So the terms of the extension are as follows. First, we'll do an amended and restated agreement that will provide 49 years of lease term. That agreement is contingent on this new job creation project that Austin referred to. As part of that extension, we will also get back close to 70 acres. Around the IX Center. I've got a map on the next slide that provides some opportunity then for the airport to redevelop that. We have negotiated a right of first offer with ICP IRG, so they will be able to kind of propose development on that. We are not obligated to accept that. We also have readjusted the rent pursuant to a fair market appraisal in 2024. That rent is now subject to annual CPI increases. Previously, it was just adjusting every 5 years, and that rent works out to about flat, despite giving up those 69 acres. We also have a right in the future, should we need the IX Center for aeronautical uses, to provide notice and to terminate the lease. And the mechanism for that is that IRG ICP has agreed we will pursue eminent domain. They will not contest it. Will just be a negotiation over value if we needed the rent back. The other piece of this that we've negotiated is additional consideration based on payroll tax. So right now, were we to go through this under the terms of the Brook Park agreement, the 2.5% payroll tax would be charged. Brook Park would get 2%. That's their rate. The city would get 0.5%. We're going to get an additional 1% out of the gate, and then after 16 years, we'll get 1.5%. So we'll have 2% payroll tax on the jobs that are created here. This is the map that shows the revised leasehold. They will retain the IX Center and a little bit of land around it. We will pick up 46 acres to the west, back under our control, and 22 acres to the south. So a considerable amount of land. And as I know you're going to hear a lot from the airport director today on the future plans for the airport, this opens up and creates a lot of flexibility for us for the airport and to pursue additional economic development adjacent to the airport. This is the rent calculation. We went through quite an extensive appraisal process on getting to that new rental rate of just about $2.2 million that goes to the airport. And the benefits to the city of this deal, first, we're getting, and again, a Fortune 100 company with 200 plus jobs and about a $23 million payroll coming to the city near the airport. We get that additional compensation that compensates us, and we'll end up being better off than we'd been financially from taxes based on the limited emissions tax that we got from the IX Center. We've got that adjacent now redevelopment opportunity. We've also got a long-term rent commitment for the airport on the IX Center going beyond that period. And the financial benefit will be even more. Right now, the airport is currently paying debt service. Still, it was associated with the acquisition of the IX Center and some other acquisitions dating back to 2008. And so when that debt is paid off in 2033, it's about $4 million a year. This will be an even greater benefit. And then we still have this flexibility that if down the road we have airport or aeronautical need, we can, at a cost, negotiate and get out of the deal. So those are the basic terms. Austin, anything you want to add before we turn it over for questions? Brian? Yeah? Okay.
Okay. I'm going to ask if Councilman McCormick or Councilman Slife would like to comment on this. I know both of them have been working closely with me on this. So Councilman McCormick, then Councilman Slife, then Casey and Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll let Councilman Slife speak more to this project itself, but this is in front of the Transportation Mobility Committee. We've been working with and briefed by the chief and director on this and are supportive of it. The questions that I asked the chief and director were twofold. And I think it's great to answer at the table. Does this impact at all the Terminal Modernization Development Program or Clevolution in a good, bad, or neutral way? And then the second would be, Chief, it is what it is, but in the case that we do see progress on the sense of getting NASA attention to move to Cleveland, does this impact that good, bad, neutral as well? So those are the two questions that I developed on my side. So I don't know.
So through the chair to the councilperson, so there is no direct impact to our plans for the TMDP or Clevolution, as we branded it. All of those improvements are going to be taking place on and around the existing terminal campus, which is sort of in the northeast corner of the airport. But I think it is important that we would have the ability in the future, if needed, to reclaim that property if there were a need for specifically an aviation-related development in the future.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Chief.
Yeah, to the councilman through the chair. Obviously, this would take the IX Center probably offline for NASA use, should that come to be. We have additional land there. It's also, we've got additional land adjacent to and around the airport that we could potentially use were that to come to fruition.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Slife.
Thank you. Yeah, and as the Vice Chair of Transportation and also the local ward representative for the IX Center, I really want to thank the Mayor's Office and Port Control. This has been a very complicated one. What the legislation is narrowly about the lease, but what this is allowing to happen is this first bullet point on the presentation, which is the pending location of a very substantial economic development investment in the IX Center. And perhaps doesn't need to be brought up, but this frankly could have been brought to us a lot sooner had the city of Brook Park been receptive to modifying the Cleveland Brook Park deal dating back to the land swaps and everything. And that's the council president and my colleagues, this is a great example of if anybody wants to criticize the city of Cleveland for failing to think regionally because of how that deal is set up, we are essentially handing a substantial amount of money to the Brook Park General Fund because this building used to be in the city of Brook Park, and the challenge was without either amending that original deal, which Brook Park was not interested in engaging in that conversation, or coming up with revising this lease, which is the path that we've come to, there would have essentially, the city of Cleveland would have lost money on this substantial investment. So I'm glad we found the path. It was challenging. I want to thank IRG for their patience along the way, and the announcement that this will that will come forth from this legislation is pretty substantial to my understanding, and I'm excited for the reason for this legislation to become more public, hopefully soon. So thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman, thank you for really keeping me abreast of this. This has been difficult, and we've been following this for the last several months, and glad that you guys did find a path for that. I'm going to go to Councilman Casey, then Councilman Mike Peninsik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to the chief. How much annually, under the current lease, our obligation to the city of Brook Park ends in 2039, correct?
To the councilman through the chair, our obligation to Brook Park ends when the building is torn down.
So what ends in 2039?
The lease to ICP IRG.
And that's our guest at the table?
Correct.
Correct. So Brook Park is riding the financial benefits of that building until the building is gone, correct?
To the councilman through the chair, that is what the agreement says, correct?
All right. And then how much annually is the city of Cleveland supporting Brook Park? How much annually do they make off of that building?
Through the councilman to the chair, it varies from year to year. Over the last 4 years, it's been between $250,000 and $300,000.
And Mr. Chair, or to the chair, to the chief, and what do we anticipate it going forward?
Through the to the chair, to the councilman, through the chair, we anticipate that will go up by about $50,000 or $75,000 a year going forward.
So the city of Brook Park, which is a population of less than 20,000, is making around $300,000 a year off of doing absolutely nothing but having an agreement with us because of the agreement that we got into in 2008.
That's correct.
They provide nothing to the IX Center.
That's correct.
They provide, well, we know what they do, well, we know what they're doing, but so if this doesn't go forward today with the expansion, Mr. Chair, to the chief, what happens in 2039?
To the councilman, we would have a lease that ended if we didn't extend it sooner. The city would take control of that property, and any economic activity that was generated there would be owed to Brook Park under the terms of the deal. At that point, the city could determine to demolish the building or not.
Is there any way, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, to get this done without the Brook Park portion dollars going to the city of Brook Park?
Through the chair, not that I'm aware, we spent a lot of time trying to work through other options here, and this is a way in which the city, focusing just on the city's piece, the city's better off we're able to land this large company.
Right, and this has nothing to do with the company that runs it or the building itself. This has to do with our colleagues in another city. All right, so if we just let it expire, right, into 2039, and the building went dormant, and again, that's not the plan, so don't think that is. I'm just trying, because this is the first I've seen this, so I'm just trying to figure out how we get the city of Brook Park, off our financial books, right? And it sounds to me as if they weren't willing to play nice, I guess.
To the chair, the only ways to do that are either the demolition of the building or a revision to the agreement with Brook Park.
And they weren't, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, they weren't willing to revise their agreement.
Through the chair, correct.
Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just, on this point, Brook Park gets 2% of all income tax generated out of the IX Center now, and we get the final 0.5%. They're entitled their 2%. My understanding is the city of Cleveland, via the mayor's administration, went to Brook Park and said, we have this opportunity, we need your help. Your 2%, that value will increase pretty substantially, especially when you consider it over time, but we need your help in order to figure out how we can make this work because there's limitations within how this deal was structured decades ago. And they essentially told us, thank you, no thank you, doesn't sound like a good deal. So the city of Brook Park, if I were a resident of Brook Park, I'd be questioning why there's an eagerness to turn down money. So.
All right, well, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. This piece won't be without opposition. I'm just for the Brook Park piece. But I hope going forward with whatever happens with the city of Brook Park that we keep this in the back of our minds when it comes to needing to negotiate anything that they may potentially need in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Hold on for 1 second. Is that 622 or 635? All right. Okay, Councilman Michael Polinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, and to the members of the administration and to ICP representative. Could you go back to the site plan, if you could? So of the building itself, how much of that building space will be taken as proposed with regard to this project?
So the first floor of this property is about 1.2 million square feet, and then there's another 400,000 on the second floor. This project is going to be just under 1.1 million square feet.
So the exhibition space will not be affected?
The exhibition space will be affected, correct.
So there'll be no more exhibition space out there at all?
Through the chair to the councilman, there will be no exhibition space at this building no further.
Huh. So the IX Center has become a destination place for a lot of events and venues. So you're telling me there'd be nothing out there ever again?
That's correct.
That's a tough one to swallow.
Through the chair to the councilman, I think one of the upside opportunities here for the central core of the city of Cleveland is extra days at the convention center could be taken up by shows that previously went to the IX Center.
Yes.
I know the convention center will continue to prioritize economic development opportunities and shows that are bringing visitors from out of town to Cleveland, but I think there will be a benefit to this city of Cleveland from some of those shows coming here, and from an opportunity for more dollars to be spent in the city based on the location downtown rather than the location by the airport.
Okay. So of the new tenant coming into the facility, how many jobs will be created?
Through the chair, we're expecting between 200 and 250.
Okay. And Brook Park will take how much of that income tax?
Through the chair, 2%. And we will get effectively 1.5% for the first 16 years and 2% thereafter.
Okay. So then so what we see there of the building with the black roof, that's all going to be for the industrial purpose, correct?
Correct.
And this will be an industrial business?
Correct.
Okay. Then the 46 acres, 22.83, the 46 is basically a parking lot now, correct?
Correct.
And what's on the 22, just grass?
Correct.
And that's coming back to the city?
That's correct.
Okay. The area to the, I'm assuming that's the north, is that the Jet Center there? What is that up, that's a rectangle building?
Through the chair, to the councilperson, that is the Atlantic Aviation, one of our private aviation
Is that
service
the, what we
providers.
call the Jet Center?
That's a similar type business.
Okay.
Yes, Atlantic Aviation is the operator.
Okay, and then I'm assuming that's to the east, where those tanks are at. Whose property is that there? That's airport property?
Correct.
So everything around it is owned by the city, correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
It's, none of that's in the city of Brook Park anymore, is it?
Through the chair, I don't believe so. I believe that is all city.
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying, I've been, like most of us, I've been out to the IX Center on numerous occasions for the various shows out there. And I'm just trying to figure in my own brain here for the Huntington Convention Center or wherever to assume the shows that were out there, whether it be auto show, boat show, RV show, where I'm not aware of any place else that has that capacity to host that type of venue. Does anyone know where those would go?
Through the chair, I've not done that research short of looking at the convention center
Okay.
at Public Hall Complex.
So the benefit, what I'm trying to understand the overall benefit is the 200 plus jobs. And this agreement with this tenant would run to when?
This would be a longer-term lease with options running through, I believe, 2040
Okay.
range.
And with ICP, you control the facility for how long?
The last 2 years, maybe.
Yeah,
3
but
years.
into the future, what's your lease?
Oh, we would control through the 2049,
2049. Okay.
or I'm sorry, the 49 years that would be in
49
addition.
years. I don't think I'll be here then to deal with that at that point, okay? Yeah. Right. Take bets now. Okay. But I'm just trying to understand this. Obviously, it's a critical building. It's been a historic building in many respects. So the trade-off is the jobs. I just think, again, I would say this to the administration, because this even concerns me more now, understanding this. And ICP is a good company. I mean, I've seen what they've done with some of the other industrial properties, so I'm not questioning their ability. But I'm saying to the administration, now I understand. Now another piece of the puzzle has fallen into place as to why the proposed occupant of the 170 acres out at Brook Park, why he wants to build an event center. That becomes now very clear to me, to take shows and venues that will be or historically have been at the IX Center or could be downtown and pull those out to Brook Park, which again is not good for us, not good for the city, not good for anyone in my opinion. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to ask one last question. It's going to be directed to the director of the airport. I can live with this, even though, because the trade-off is the jobs and the investment in our city. I want to say to the director of Port Control, in light of the fact that the 170 acres that is being contemplated for the Cleveland Browns Jimmy's World, and its proximity to the airport, did Port Control ever consider buying that property?
Through the chair, I'm not certain if there were any serious considerations. I do know that during the master plan process, which was prior to my arrival, there was some consideration of that being a potential location for future airport development, specifically the terminal facilities. But clearly that was ultimately not pursued. I think it was just due to exorbitant costs.
Well, I will tell you, from my own opinion and on the record, I think that was a terrible mistake. Terrible mistake. And I don't know if that was under the previous administration or who. When you look at a site plan and aerial, I don't know what people were thinking about by not acquiring that property. That was, when we talk about short-sightedness, lack of vision, to me, it's just incredible when we have a landlocked airport, 170 acres next door, and we don't move on it. To me, I just shake my head, and terrible mistake, and we ultimately might pay a dear price because of that lack of oversight. So I'll leave it at that point, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Casey had a follow-up question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the chief, is our agreement with Brook Park just with the building, or if we're going to take this land back over, if this land gets redeveloped, would they potentially make a profit off of the redevelopment of any of the new land?
Through the chair, I believe the land is included in the agreement.
So it is included. So if we do redevelopment, they do get a portion of their agreement?
Through the chair, as the agreement currently sits, yes.
And not just the building?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, again, this isn't without opposition.
All right, Councilman Charles Slight.
I'll just add for context, because I know it's confusing. The way, essentially, this agreement was struck at a time when we were anticipating building another runway at Hopkins that never came to pass. So the deal, in my opinion, that the city of Cleveland signed was not entirely to the city of Cleveland's favor. However, it was essentially this was all a stopgap for Brook Park until such a time as we exercised the right to tear everything down and build a runway. At that point, it was for an aeronautical use, and any financial benefit to Brook Park would go away because it was being used for an aeronautical use. That runway never came to pass. It's not necessary for the operation of the airport. So what was meant to be a short-term deal has perpetuated into the longer term, and hindsight is certainly 20/20 on this one. And I'll also add, I can't speculate to Councilman Polensik's point as the relationship between this facility and the 170 acres and the intention of building something that could be a replacement facility because something was going away, or just merely to compete with the city of Cleveland and try to maximize parking revenue. The exposition space, to my understanding, draws in a lot of people from the region who then get in their car and drive home, and it doesn't have necessarily the economic benefit to the city of Cleveland that you'd maybe expect. But in any case, my understanding is that the current tenant, IRG, that the exposition spaces are not within their business model, and that there's not necessarily a guarantee, should none of this happen, that this continues forward as an exhibition space. So keep that in mind as you're deliberating about it, and I'm happy to kind of fill in any gaps if you have questions. So thanks.
All right. I don't see any other questions regarding 1241-2024 as amended. The only thing I want to ask is Councilman Slife, being the chair, the vice chair of the committee, as well as the councilman on record, would you like to be added to this? Can we please add Councilman Slife to 1241-2024? Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1241-2024 stands approved. All right, I'm going to try to get through Port because they do have a very important industry day, which I understand they have to be back out there to the airport in a timely manner. So I'm going to try to get through these as quick as possible. This is ordinance number 604-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin. By departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing a surface parking facility at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more contracts for the making of the improvement. Director.
Yes, good morning. The next three items are all related to the Terminal Modernization Development Program. As announced on May 6th, we are formally going forward with a new vision for the future of the customer experience at Cleveland Hopkins, and so these are the first three steps in that effort. This item is a procurement effort, design, build, professional services contract. It will create approximately 1,600 revenue-generating parking spaces. The location is adjacent to Concourse D, and it will exist on the existing concrete pavement. It will create additional parking capacity so that we can close the existing orange lot for the construction of a new 6,000-space parking garage, ground transportation center, and new RTA station. It will have a covered walkway to the existing terminal, and when operational, we'll also have a shuttle service available for that option if customers would prefer. Some of the elements related to this project are pavement repairs, striping, electrical and lighting, miscellaneous concrete work, parking management equipment, procurement, fencing, covered walking structure, bus shelters, security features, signage, landscaping, et cetera. The cost is approximately $21.5 million. We're targeting to start the design this fall once the procurement effort has concluded. Construction beginning early next year, opening in the fall of next year, and then we would proceed to close the orange lot and to begin construction of initially the tunnel for the RTA station on which the new parking garage will sit. And we ask for your approval.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was thoroughly vetted by the Transportation and Mobility Committee. A couple reminders for all tuning in. These are dollars authorized through the airport and paid through our airline partners. So these are not city general funds or city funds going to this work. As the director noted, a critically important project to initiate the TMDP, Mr. Chairman. Another question that came about that we answered, this does not demolish Concourse D. It works kind of around it for the time being. And for the committee's purposes, there were some issues with the executive summaries, and this one is accurate. So I wanted to clarify that was brought up in committee. But we fully supported this, Mr. Chairman, and the T&M committee.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for 604-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 604-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next, we have ordinance number 621-2025 by council members McCormick and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing one or more transportation facilities, which includes but not limited to a parking garage structure, ground transportation center, and a rapid transit station for Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more contracts for the making of the improvement. Director.
I have an amendment I'd like to read into the record before I begin. In Section 3, strike lines 1 and 2 and insert that the cost of the contract or contracts shall be paid from Fund Number 60SF001, 60SF004, 60SF141, 60SF167, 60SF168, from the fund or funds to which are credited the proceeds from the sale of any future bonds, if issued for this purpose, from the fund or funds to which are credited any grants or gifts received, and other funds approved by the Director of Finance. So this item is also a procurement effort, design, build, professional services contract. This is for the construction of an approximately 6,000 space revenue parking garage that will also include a brand new ground transportation center as well as a new RTA train station. It will be located on the existing orange lot site. There will be an underground walkway to connect the new facilities to the existing head house while the new head house is being built. The new ground transportation center will provide facilities for all ground transportation services such as shuttles, taxis, rideshare, limos, et cetera. The new RTA station, the existing station can't be built under the new head house, so it must be relocated. It will be located underneath the new parking structure. The station will have vertical circulation to connect to the new parking structure and over to the existing head house and the eventual new head house. The design will accommodate RTA's new rail cars design specifications. That's important to note. The estimated cost of $301 million will be funded by revenue bonds. No general fund or tax dollars of any kind will be utilized for this project. And we're targeting to start design this fall, similar to the Gold Lot construction next fall. Will begin next fall, and the garage will be operational in late 28 or early 29, which would then allow us to demolish the existing garage and begin construction of the new head house.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to our Assistant Law Director, the amendment that was read, I would imagine we have to move that at the table. Okay, Director, can I have a copy of that?
Certainly.
And these are all funds within the airport system TMDP, is that correct? Okay. So two things, Chair. I'd like to move to amend Ordinance 621-2025 as read by the Director. I have a copy here, and I'll get it to the Assistant Law Director. I'd like to move to amend again that Section 3 as the Director just read.
Thank you. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Slife. Any discussion? Seeing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank
The
you, Mr.
amendment
Chair.
carries.
The other component is, Director, of this, the executive summary still reads 30 million, the administrative report. So I don't know if we discussed at this committee, if we need to address the administrative report to reflect the 301.
That was supposed to be, I thought it was going to be amended at that time. He signed off. Did you sign off with Aaron at the table?
Director.
I believe I did. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know if we need to just have this up to, it's not a piece of legislation, it's just the administrative report.
It's an administrative.
Okay.
I think it's floating somewhere because he signed it after.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Last week.
So we then will just make sure the updated administrative report is included. Aaron, great, thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, this was heard in committee and fully supported by the committee. Again, critical projects to start off, really kick off the TMDP as the director just outlined. And so the committee thoroughly reviewed this as well as previous presentations by the director of the TMDP and why these steps are so important to kick that process off and fully supported this piece.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 621-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. As amended. Next is ordinance number 625-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to employ one or more professional consultants to provide program management services for a period of 2 years with 2 3-year options to renew exercisable through additional legislative authority. Director.
Yes, this is a professional services contract for program manager, construction manager services. The main scope elements are, this is not necessarily all of them, but a selection, design and pre-construction management, construction management, risk and change management, quality assurance, safety and operational readiness, and transition. This will be an extension of existing staff to have sufficient capacity to deliver a program of this magnitude. Will be up to $15 million per contract year, with the 2-year and 2 3-year options to cover the duration of Phase 1, which is a landside-focused program, and we ask for your approval.
Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this was discussed at the Transportation and Mobility Committee as described by the director, critically important as they move forward with the TMDP and having that capacity and support. So this was approved by the committee unanimously.
Thank you. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 625-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 625-2025 stands approved. Next, we have ordinance number 626-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin by departmental request authorizing the purchase by one or more contracts of 1 ambulance and 1 aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle, included related equipment and training for the Division of Cleveland Hopkins International Airport Department of Port Control. Director.
Good morning. This item will be presented today by Dennis Kramer, Assistant Director, Airport Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Port Control is proposing to purchase a Braun Liberty Type 1 ambulance. It is a modern vehicle with latest medical technologies and features. It will replace a 2008 model that we have it is approaching the end of its useful life. The estimated purchase price here is $349,000. And we will be utilizing a statewide contract for this purchase. The second part of this piece of legislation is for the purchase of a Rosenbauer Panther 4x4 aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle, 1,500-gallon capacity. It is also a state-of-the-art vehicle designed to meet the latest regulatory and safety standards. This particular piece will be positioned at Burke, but can be used at CLE if needed. It will be replacing a 2003 Stryker 1,500-gallon vehicle, and the estimated purchase price for it is $1,250,000.
Okay, thank you. You said that the first vehicle, just want to make sure that I have your numbers right. I see the one, okay, so added together is 1.5 million.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, again, a fire suppression and safety unit as well as an ambulance that the airport is required to keep and have on their part of their fleet. This was reviewed by the committee and fully supported.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 626-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next is ordinance number 627-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to amend and add a subsidiary amount to contract number PI 2023-0043 with Ozan Construction Company, Inc. for increasing the number of restrooms and ancillary space at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Director.
Yes, Mr. Chair, good morning. Again, this item will be presented today by Dennis Kramer, Assistant Director of Airport Development. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you again. This particular piece, we're looking to, and we have an existing public improvement contract with Ozane to renovate various restrooms at the airport. That project is ongoing, has been, we're actually nearing completion of it to renovate 5 different sets of restrooms. This proposal is to add another set to that. We're going to be doing a project to expand the capacity of Central Checkpoint, add 2 additional lanes there, and as part of that, we will need to relocate and redo the bathrooms. So we're looking to add this scope to Ozane's existing contract and do that part of the expansion through this contract. And the particular amount, we're estimating it at $1,250,000.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, we're really excited that not only the checkpoint, newly improved checkpoints coming into fruition this year, but also these additional bathrooms to the airport. So the more of our airport bathrooms we can get updated, the happier the customers that use them are. So very supportive of 627-2025 and was heard in committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 627-2025 stands approved. 627-2025 stands approved. Next is ordinance number 657-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into an amendment to lease agreement CT 3001-LS 2024-0010 with Jets Postal Road LLC to expand leasehold territory at and near 6045 Postal Road. Director.
Good morning. This is an amendment to ground lease with Jets Postal Road LLC. Jets is an existing operator at the airport. We entered into this ground lease in spring of last year. It was to develop a hangar as well as a cargo processing facility. There's a new opportunity that the tenant sees to handle additional activity around aircraft charters. And so they're looking to acquire the additional land needed to support that expanded business. The lease term remains and will expire in November 2054. Jets will be responsible for all costs associated with design, construction, and operation of the project. We are doing an appraisal on the additional property to determine that it is going to be set at fair market value. The base rent is $61,571, and the new value from the appraisal for the additional property will be added to that rent. We ask for your approval.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've reviewed this ordinance, and it all makes sense on my end, so I'm fully supportive of this.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing no questions, ordinance number 657-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you and good luck with Industry Day.
Thank you all.
I believe I'm bringing up 635-2025, and I believe we have a guest with us, Councilman Matt Zone. So Ms. DeGenero, Councilman Zone, if you could join us at the table. This is ordinance number 635-2025 by council members House, Jones, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to enter into one or more agreements with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the Natural Areas Land Conservancy or its designee relating to co-sponsoring a grant with the Natural Areas Land Conservancy or its designee from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to complete the Huff Community Greenspace project and to accept the donation of the Huff Community Greenspace from the Natural Areas Land Conservancy or its designee for use as a dedicated city-operated park upon completion of the project. Director.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner DeGenero is here to go through this ordinance with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Director. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. This legislation would authorize the Director of Parks and Recreation to co-sponsor a grant with the Natural Areas Land Conservancy. They are a subsidiary of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, and the grant is from ODNR for the development of future city park-owned land known as the Huff Community Greenspace. And I'm pleased to introduce project managers for the new park. I have Matt Zone to my immediate left. He is the Senior Vice President and Director of Thriving Communities for Western Reserve Land Conservancy, as well as Isaac Robb, who is the Vice President of Planning, Research, and Urban Projects, and they can tell you a little bit more about the project.
Thank you. Councilman Zone, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. President, honorable members of council. It's always good to be back at this table and see the good work that all of you are doing. Well, some recent news, some breaking news. My colleague, joined by Isaac Robb and myself, recently received a promotion. So my new title now is Chief Advocacy Officer for the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, and Isaac's been promoted to Chief of Urban Projects. And so in a minute, you'll hear from Mr. Robb, but really, this is a wonderful project, and I just want to acknowledge Director DeRosa and his team and Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones, who have been true champions of the Huff Community Greenspace. In the fall of 2021, under the Jackson administration, there were a number of school sites that they partnered with the city's planning department and MOCAP and put out an RFP. We looked at the various sites when we read the Huff master plan for that area. The number one thing that rose to the top was we want high-quality green spaces in our neighborhood. And so we submitted a proposal for this area. As Ms. DeGenero said, Commissioner DeGenero mentioned, this is specifically about a grant we were able to, for this project, and you should all go by it. It's just due north of the Thurgood Marshall Rec Center, contiguous to their campus. We'll be bringing on a $2 million plus project that we did all the fundraising for. We secured a $500,000 federal earmark, and specifically this legislation addresses a $200,000 state capital budget that Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones helped us champion to secure that, so I want to thank her as well. It's going to be a 2.6 acre passive green space. I've worked on a lot of projects in my prior career and my current career. I've never seen a more collaborative, inclusive, and deliberate community engagement process than we did on the Huff Community Green Space. Really excited to bring on this project. We're in full construction now, and by September this year, we'll probably be 95% of the way done. So I'm going to turn the mic over to my colleague, Mr. Robb, who will talk more about the project.
Thank you to the chair and the committee. Again, I'm mostly here to answer any questions. We just want to be really appreciative of both the councilwoman as well as all of the staff at the City of Cleveland, the Famicos Development Corporation. As Matt said, this has been a really great collaborative process, and we're really excited to bring it online this year.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop, I believe you relieved this out of municipal services.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I relieve it on municipal service and properties.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman House Jones.
Great project, supported. No, it really is. Again, we've had a lot of community engagement. When you talk about, really supporting, and I want to lift up the team at Village Family Farms that have hosted a lot of different things so we can do door to door, and really looking forward to keep forward to it. And hopefully we'll be able to establish a Friends of group that will be the caregivers, the caretakers, to be the supplemental support that the city of Cleveland will need to maintain it and program the space as it comes to fruition. So thank you.
Thank you. Don't see any other questions, Councilman, Mr. Zone.
Just one final comment, Mr. President. Since I've left this amazing body, this will be our 5th green space project that we brought online to the City of Cleveland at virtually no cost to the City of Cleveland. Later next month, we're going to transfer the Euclid Beach Transformation Project to the Cleveland Metro Parks. We will have invested over $18 million in that green space. I'm sitting here at this table listening to our former colleague, Councilman Polensek, talk about the reunification of that green space. That's been a behemoth of a project. In total, when you put the value of those 5 projects plus the Euclid Beach Transformation Project, we will have brought upwards of $25 million of investment into the City of Cleveland on land that was formerly vacant at one point. I only share that with all of you. You should have all received an email from me, and you're going to get a reminder email this week. A week from this Friday, we're doing an urban conservation tour on June 13th. I'd love to have the members of council to really pique your curiosity about our suites of service and how we can help you in each of your wards moving forward. And I thank everyone for this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the work. Councilman Polensek, I think you want to add a personal privilege.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Matt and the Western Reserve Land Conservancy for the work that they do in the city. I think a lot of folks really don't understand how critical it is to protect vacant land or to look at preserving and protecting, as they did with the Euclid Beach Mobile Home Park. That was 28 acres on the lake that could have been cut up and dissected for God knows what. And all the groups that I approached to try to save that property, the county, the state, metro parks, you name it, I went through everybody and their grandmother to try to protect that property. And the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, under then Jim Rakakis, I need to say that again, another former colleague, stepped up, and then Matt took the mantle and ran with it. So again, into everybody connected with the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, how appreciative I am for the work they do in this city. And Isaac as well did a wonderful job out there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I've also been a beneficiary of so much of you guys' good work, so keep up the great work. Appreciate the partnership. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 635-2025 stands approved. Thank you all so much. I'm going to go back to companion pieces, ordinance number 600-2025, if Director McNair and his guests can come to the table. This is ordinance number 600-2025 by Council Members Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Economic Development to amend agreement number 50086 authorized by ordinance number 1235-95 passed December 13th, 1995 with the Village of Highland Hills to expand territory in the development area to include the former House of Corrections site located at Mill Creek Boulevard. Boulevard. The companion piece that goes with this is ordinance number 622-2025 by council members Hairston and Griffin, by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor and the commissioner of purchases and supplies to sell certain city-owned property no longer needed for the city's public use located on Mill Creek Boulevard in Highland Hills to DBL Mill Creek LLC or its designee for purposes of industrial redevelopment. Director, and please announce your guests.
Yes. Thank you, Council President Griffin, members of the committee. I am joined here today by Rico Pietro and Michael Bowen, who are with the development team, who is looking at this potential investment. And I want to kind of back up a little bit. So we are talking about a piece of property that is in the village of Highland Hills. Right, I've kind of brought up this map. So this is not Chagrin Highlands, not to be confused by Chagrin Highlands. I believe this was actually technically known as the Cleveland Enterprise Park, not to be confused with Cleveland Business Park, right, that is over by Chagrin Highlands in the village of Highland Hills. There is a joint economic development agreement that was put in place with Highland Hills for this land that we own in 1996 for tax sharing. You can see in that map up there that white block that is kind of sitting in the middle of it. That was excluded from the initial joint economic development agreement because it was a site of the House of Corrections, or sometimes referred to as the workhouse, right? It was a city-owned reform center, and because it was a municipally owned service on municipally owned property, we did not include it in that. That facility has been closed for some time, so what we are looking to do is, and you can see that area in yellow there now, is to include that in the joint economic development agreement with Mayor Bookett and the village of Highland Hills, right? So when we do that, this property will now be subject to the same tax sharing agreement as the rest of those properties. That would entitle any new income taxes that are generated on that property a 50% income tax share. In the case that there is a relocation of an existing Cleveland business, we would get 75% of that tax revenue sharing. That is not the anticipation on that. I'll allow here in a moment to have Mr. Pietro and Mr. Bowen talk a little bit about what they're doing, but they own the property immediately to the east. You can see that wooded property there. The former House of Correction site is about 15 acres. Theirs is a little less than that, but taking those two properties together enables a substantial economic development opportunity, of which they're looking at a 400,000+ square foot building that would be on there, minimum capital expenditure of $43 million, right? Job creating opportunities, which again, to us, the long-term benefit in here is not the sales price. That is what you'll hear about in the companion piece, 622. But in the income taxes that would be generated on a property that is not currently generating income taxes. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Pietro and Mr. Bowen.
And before we go to
Yes.
Mr. Pietro and Mr. Bowen, I read both of them into the record, so if you just want to go right into 622 and then have them, or so that we can just go.
Then I'll hand it over to Ms. DeGennaro.
Thank you. So the ordinance 622-2025 provides the authority for the Director of Public Safety to actually sell the property. As Director McNair stated, the property is approximately 15 acres. It is, Department of Public Safety ceased operations at the property in 2018. It's currently being used for storage, and the redeveloper will, in addition to the $800,000 cash price, will contribute $10,000 for Department of Public Safety to move some of the materials they have in the property. And that's basically that ordinance.
Okay. And our guests.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
DBL Development is a group of 3 individuals, Michael Bowen to my right, myself, and Eric Loomis from Loomis Companies. We pride ourselves as offering a single source solution for ground-up development. Our hope is to attract an advanced manufacturer to this site. We are working in partnership with Jobs Ohio. This is considered one of the top 5 sites with the assembly of the property in the state of Ohio, as well as with the regime at Team Neo to promote the site and have had multiple meetings with the village of Highland Hills and leadership there with Mayor Booker to all be rowing in the same direction. We've achieved some state grants to allow us to demolish the existing structure at the workhorse site, house site, excuse me, as well as the barbed wire fencing that surrounds the property, as well as Jobs Ohio grant money to prepare the site for development. When you think of this site compared to other sites in the market, speed to market is the key here. There's been discussions about other sites like the Acme site in the city of Cleveland that may take a period of 12 to 24 months to get ready. This is something we can get online by the end of the year. This allows us to be competitive with areas downstate while still being able to offer a value proposition of close proximity to major highway systems and what we believe to be best in state class access to a labor pool, being able to pull from both area residents in surrounding communities as well as the southwest side of the city of Cleveland. We're excited about the project. We are ready to get started with the project. Appreciate the help of Suzanne, Director McNair, Chief Epstein at pushing this thing along. And we're hopeful to be able to attract meaningful jobs to the area, to the community, as well as to generate meaningful income tax revenue to both communities.
Thank you. Mr. Bowen, did you want to add anything?
Nope, you guys got a busy agenda. Keep it rolling.
Thank you. The only question I have, and this is really for the safety director and I guess anybody else, is we'll never need to use that for corrections facility again. Is that correct?
To the chair, that's correct.
Okay, because I'm not sure if we made the best deal going out there with now everybody trying to take the jail out to Garfield Heights. It always perplexes me why we got out of the corrections business. But okay, I know that I've talked to Mayor Booker. I know that he's been eager for quite some time to really get this going. I know that Director McNair, upon several calls and emails from me, have been asked to really lean in on this. So I know that this is a sense of urgency. I do want to acknowledge Councilman Hairston has agreed to relieve this. Usually this would go through a rigorous vetting process in DPS, but he relieved it due to the nature of, I know that the mayor, the developers, and the city have been eager to really try to move this along. I've actually even heard from Jobs Ohio at some point in time that this was somewhere that they've had a lot of interest in. So we thought it was a sense of urgency really to put this forward, and those are the things that I would like to say in support of this. Any questions from Councilman Brian Casey and Councilman Mike Pence?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to follow up on your line of questioning, and that is this was relieved, so this is the first conversation we're able to have regarding this. And in light of what's going on with the jail, the city is never again going to have any intention of needing this space, let alone this type of facility, which is already built out, for any type of, whether it's holding, whether it's, being used as, a place for holding individuals until they're charged, or short-term incarcerations. I don't think that this body's had the opportunity to have that conversation in lieu of what's going on with the city jail and moving the county jail out, and the ask from the county to increase the cost of an inmate. I just want to make sure that, in 6 years, you're not coming back to us saying, we need, $15 million to build a holding facility because we can't work something out with the county.
Through the chair to Councilman Casey, it's a really good question. We're, as you know, in conversation with the county relative to the things you mentioned. However, this particular facility, the House of Corrections, will not meet current jail standards. Additionally, the property itself, the House of Corrections, is in dire straits as far as the building is concerned. So no, this building will not, obviously we're selling it, but we could not use that for future jail for individuals arrested.
And, okay, so then follow up with that, Mr. Chairman, to the director. Are you saying today that we have no intentions of getting back into the jail business, at least in your tenure here?
To the chair, what I can tell you that in relations to this particular piece and this property, we will not be utilizing that particular property to house prisoners.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Michael Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, to the director, and to the administration. To follow up on Councilman Casey's line of questioning, what equipment are we storing out there right now?
Through the chair, just some desk and other things. Also, some property from the Division of Police, gear that's expired, that gear.
Okay.
That type of material is out there. My staff, once we knew that we're in discussions to potentially sell the property, started to move most of the property out. So the vast majority of property is already moved from that location.
And where did it go?
To at least the vast majority of the property went to the Public Safety Training Complex on Broadway.
If you could, Mr. Chairman, to the director, if you could tell me or provide to me an email what type of equipment and property is there and what you are moving and what is left. To the director of economic development, how many acres are out? Because I can't seem to pull this up on my screen. How many acres are out there?
Through the chair to Councilman Polensek. So the former workhouse site has 15 acres?
15.
15.
15.
15.
And what is this? What is the negotiated sale price?
Through the chair to Councilman Polensek, it's $800,000 cash.
That's all?
So in our usual custom, the Division of Real Estate requested the developer to obtain a fair market value appraisal. The appraisal did come back at $1,625,000, but the appraiser identified remediation costs and costs that it's going to take the developer to, get the property in a developable condition. Those costs exceed the $825,000 concession. But that is the concession in the sales price that was negotiated by the Department of Economic Development.
But isn't it buyer beware? Buyer, we sell property, you buy it. I mean, that's prime real estate out there.
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, that is true. There is typically buyer beware, but in a commercial setting, often concessions are made for remediation costs. And so that's what we're doing here.
But that's half the appraised value.
Through the chair of the councilman, yes, it is half, but perhaps I know the developer did some due diligence and may have a little bit more information for you on the costs they're going to incur in the development.
What are the buildings to? I'm assuming that's the north and east. What are the headquarters that are there now? Out there, the three large buildings. Somebody tell me.
Through the chair to Councilman Director Drummond, I'm not sure exactly what the buildings are. I haven't been to the property. I know I believe there are 3 separate buildings with foundations that are going to need to be removed. They're dated buildings, and there are some issues with the buildings that require remediation.
What is the zoning for the property? Can somebody tell me?
Through the chair, I believe, Mr. Pietra, did you recently seek a zoning change? The zoning was changed, I believe, recently.
The zoning is for light industrial.
Light industrial, okay. So is there, if you should acquire, not acquire, but if you were to engage a Cleveland business to relocate out there, we would get 75% of the income tax? Who can tell me that?
Through the chair to Councilman Plensick, that is correct. If a Cleveland business were to relocate out to that land, we would collect 75% of the income taxes based on this agreement, 50% if it is a new business. I can tell you that, like, we are all looking at this as a business attraction play,
Okay.
not as helping move a company from Cleveland into this space.
And that share agreement would last for how long?
Into perpetuity.
Okay. Okay. I was here when we had this initial discussion with the entire property out there many, many years ago. And some of us questioned at that time the agreements that we were getting into. I'm going to have to think about this one when it comes up to the vote on the floor, because I've seen all that development take place out there, and to sell 15 acres for $800,000, in light of the fact that we hear all the state's kicking in money and other people are kicking in money to abate this site, doesn't seem like we're getting our what we need to get out of it. So I'll think about it before this vote is taken on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair to Councilman Plensick, I just give my opinion on this, as I've looked at a lot of these sorts of things.
Right.
So, one, again, I think you've heard pretty clearly from Director of Public Safety that we do not intend to operate a corrections facility on that site anymore. Right? There is no real adaptive reuse of a former prison. Right, and there are substantial costs associated with demolishing that building, remediating that land, and prepping it for redevelopment, which is one of the reasons that there is a discounted quote-unquote purchase price. But the way I view this, it is not just the 15 acres that is a part of the former House of Corrections, it is also the adjacent 15 acres that the gentleman to the right of me possess. Because to me, I want to make sure that we are not being penny wise and pound foolish. Right? Because ultimately, it is not the short-term sale that provides real value to the city of Cleveland. It is ensuring that we get the highest quality jobs with the highest possible payroll on that site, because those are the income taxes that we will take forever. And so by creating a 30-acre site as opposed to a 15-acre site, it allows us to build a substantially larger building, a high-tech building, the type of building that can attract the types of companies that we want here. And again, would we prefer that be happening in the city of Cleveland? Absolutely. That is why we invested $50 million in Sites Fund to create more redevelopment opportunities like this. But it doesn't change the fact that if we tried to sell this independently of what is happening next door, there would be a smaller building, likely less jobs, less payroll.
Okay.
Right?
The 15 acres, the wooded site next door, we sold that?
Through the chair to Councilman Plensick, no. The BDL? DBL group to the right of me, they had independently acquired that.
But from the
separately.
city?
No.
No, okay. Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I'm glad that the director really explained that, because when Mayor Booker brought this to me about a year ago, as well as several others, and I've been talking to the director about this, it's all about how do we get more land in order to try to attract more jobs and try to assemble more acreage, and that was one of the reasons. And then I also would tell you, if it's my understanding, even though there are some state grants, the developer is also going to kick in significant money in order to do some of the remediation with their own money. Which is another thing that really, they're going to eat the cost of a major amount of brownfield remediation and demolition and everything too. So just to give you that heads up.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chairman.
I have the fortunate of following all of these projects, because everything comes through me a lot of times. So that's the reason it would have been good to have it in DPS, but I know that there's a sense of urgency and that there's a lot of federal money and state money that's on the line if we don't move this down the line.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 600-2025 and ordinance number 622-2025 stand approved. Thank you both, and look forward to seeing this project. All right.
Thank you.
We'll move now towards, I believe that is all of the guests. So this is what's called the speed round. City planning. City planning and community development is up next. City planning. City planning, are they here? I don't see city planning here. Okay, we'll move away from city planning. Is community development here? Community development. Community development. Community development going once. Community development going twice. Community development will be holding off for a while. Civil Service Commission and HR. Civil Service and HR. Civil Service. Civil Service, this is ordinance number 566-2025 by council members Polinsik and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Assistant Director of the Civil Service Commission to employ one or more professional consultants to develop, administer, and grade promotional exams for the divisions of police and fire, Department of Public Safety. Okay.
There it is. Good morning, through the chair and to council members. In order to maintain and provide a fair and equitable process for police and fire promotions, we are requesting approval to hire a consultant to design, administer, and grade promotional exams for the Division of Police for the rank of sergeant, lieutenant, and captain. And then for the Division of Fire, that would be for the ranks of lieutenant, captain, battalion chief, and assistant fire chief.
Okay, pretty straightforward. We always use consultants. We don't do in-house. We usually bring in somebody to help conduct these tests, right?
Correct.
Okay. Councilman Polinsik, this was heard in public safety?
It was not heard in public. It's been relieved. So I support it, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
it was signed.
Oh, okay, that one?
Yeah.
Because I heard so many of them. Oh, you're right. We did hear this one. Okay,
Okay.
you're right.
Councilwoman House Jones.
I'm dealing with so many pieces here. Yeah.
Thank you. Through the chair to the team here. So I'm looking at the executive summary. Can you explain what is the actual process that is going to be utilized in grading a prospective consultant to actually design this test?
So for the last promotional, we contracted through National Testing Network. And what we did was we provided them with the job descriptions of, it was for actually fire. So we provided them with the job descriptions for the affected classifications. We provided them with reference material, which would be contracts. It would be general orders for fire, other reference material, and then from those documents, they built the exam. So there were several meetings back and forth.
Okay, so I guess I would ask the question through the chair to the team here. What does that look like in working to incorporate or design of examination that is reflective of the community that's being serviced? So I know there's the formal process of doing the work. There's also the, I'm gonna say, it's quantity and the qualitative work and design to ensure that we are having a test that is able to identify some of, like, I would say, the soft skills necessary in order to be an effective and efficient manager, but also having a level of cultural competency, not only to manage and encourage the adults and the team members, but also to be able to intervene and be able to identify and bring solutions to the table that will be applicable for the residents and stakeholders within the city of Cleveland. What does that look like, and how are you all assessing those things out in your RFP process?
Through the chair to Councilwoman, so there is a written portion, there's a tactical portion. What's the other portion? And there was an essay portion. And so the assessors are comprised of, subject matter experts, typically retired fire personnel. And so We work with those experts, and some of the subject matter experts would be from the Division of Police, the higher level officers, to build essay questions that are typical for this region. So the subject matter experts are from all over that they engage.
Okay, through the chair to the team here. I'm asking these questions because, again, I will guess, well, you said the last group was the National Testing Network. With the results of the assessments, did they yield a class or potential candidates that were reflective of our community or not? Because again, when you look at some of the classes in just most recent years, and like I said, how long was this National Testing Network, how long was their contract in place in the design previously?
Through the chair to Councilwoman, I cannot answer that question. That contract was already in place at the time that I assumed this position. But what I can say is we started the process, well, for me, I started probably October, and the exams took place in February.
Of this year?
Correct.
And so, and then just,
I'm sorry, that was last year. Years are running together.
so through the chair to the team here, with this new contractor, what is the cycle that you anticipate utilizing, like their work product? How long will this test be in place? For how many years, or is it a cycle, or what does that process look like?
Through the chair to Councilwoman, the contract would be for 1 year to administer one cycle of promotions.
And then we just do a new cycle each year?
That is correct, through the chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up to that question, there was always a challenge that a lot of people have of what part of the test was subjective and what was objective. I believe that there were a lot of candidates in the past being disqualified because of the objective side, that people were basically grading the essays and other things, and a lot of the candidates that quite frankly were minority and women were felt that they were not always treated fairly. How do you assess to make sure that you examine those tests in order to make sure that they're don't have any implicit bias or anything else like that? Is there a way for you guys to do that?
To the chair, all the grading, all the assessments were performed by the company. So we did not have any impact or influence on the scores or how they were graded. What I can say is that we had approximately maybe 30, what did you say, disputes that went to the commission, and those were all, defended successfully, so.
So there were 30 disputes in the past that went to the commission?
Correct.
And when you said defended successfully, it means that they were not found to be substantiated.
That is correct.
Can I?
Councilwoman House Jones.
Thank you. Through the chair to the team here. So again, I guess the question is, so you don't find any implicit bias in the testing that you all, or that whichever group, the last group, has put in place? That's what you are saying?
Through the chair to Councilwoman House, yes, that is correct.
Okay.
I feel that the steps to create the exam were fair and unbiased. I do.
And that's based on what? And according to what is the measuring assessments that is used to say, oh no, this is an exam that doesn't have implicit bias? What standard is actually being utilized?
Through the chair to Councilwoman, what I would say is that there's no outside influence. The test is developed based on the material that is provided. So if they're basing questions on, let's use Local 93's contract, for instance. If they're using materials from that contract, as a firefighter, you should know what's in your contract. Or, if you if they're using questions that are derived from their general orders, then as, you know, a firefighter, you should know what those are. I mean, they're using test scenarios that, you know, a firefighter would know if you're inexperienced, whether the demographics are involved or not. Like, if you're using a situational example, then you should know how to react. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Through the chair, if I can add to it, the assessors that the examination company provided to do the exam made sure it was not biased. So they had a number throughout the country. They brought in, so we did fire previously last year. So they brought in fire people that was under, whether they were females, African American, all different kind of nationalities that was coming in to assess to perform those exams.
Okay, I'm going to stop right now because I can get into this, but again, this is one of the things where I would say when we have like our health, equity, and social justice team and framework, that it might actually behoove us to actually work with that team to be able to have a actual real a standard to ensure that levels of implicit bias are not in this system. And just saying, for me, I do not think it's good enough to say, oh, just because people were in a system, they are using that expertise. There are plenty of studies that talk about implicit bias in many of our standardized testing throughout this country. And just because you are have a certain background, whether I'm a black woman or whatever, does not mean I can't bring forth implicit bias because I'm a professional and you only know what you know. And so there are many blind spots. And again, I think some of our results of the candidates that we have coming through our classes may yield that there are potentially some blind spots. I don't know that for certain, but what I'm saying is because we don't have necessarily a standard where we can say a full assurance that no, this is good, this is the standardized that we're utilizing. That's just from my perspective, but I'm going to fall back because this can go down a sincere rabbit hole, but I already know. I'm just going to say we actually have a team here, and I think it would really behoove us to actually start in a very formalized manner, utilizing the groups and teams that are designed to be able to help us look in ways that we haven't done before.
And I agree, Councilwoman. That's something that I think we're going to have to take a deep dive into, and I agree with your point of us trying to include that in the health framework, equity framework. I do want to give Safe Director Drummond one last comment, but we're going to move on.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. And great questions, Councilwoman. If I can add just a little context as well. Relative to the testing and the promotional process, and primarily through the Division of Police lens, and also including fire, but primarily through the Division of Police lens. As stated before by Director Long, assessment companies are brought in, whichever wins the RFP or selected for the RFP. They've been doing it for years. Part of what we want to do is make sure that when they go through their process, that they look for those type of things. And they're the experts, have been doing it for a very long time. For example, they have the promotional examination, as stated before, and the information that they use from that are the general orders, whether it's the fire general orders, the police general orders, the ORC relative to the police department, and so forth, and other things for the Division of Fire. So they're testing on the materials, the contracts, the grievance process, all those type of things. So that's unbiased. That's just pure information that they're looking at, there's testing on. You move on to the next portion, which is in-basket or assessment, where they bring in experts from all over the United States of America. And these companies are very sensitive to make sure that the individuals that they're bringing in, subject matter experts, are of all diverse backgrounds, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, whatever the case might be. And as they go through these selection committees, they put them very balanced when they're examining or looking over the materials from either the Division of Fire, Division of Police. Of course, you can't stop all bias. There's no question about it. But I believe these particular companies that we end up hiring do a really good job of making sure that we have the right individuals that we're hiring for our public safety divisions.
All right. I think we're going to be digging into this more, so we're looking forward to having that conversation. All right. Seeing no other questions, where did the legislation go? Huh? All right. Seeing no other questions, where did that? Did somebody grab that legislation? I got too many trains moving. What number is that legislation again?
566.
566? There it is. There it is. All right, there it is. All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 566-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you. All right, HR. Director, since you're here at the table, let's knock you out.
All right, sounds good.
All right. This is ordinance number 605-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Human Resources to enter into one or more contracts in order to administer and provide group medical, dental, prescription, vision, and life insurance coverage, medical reimbursement accounts, dependent care accounts, voluntary benefits, and other premium pass-through benefits under Internal Revenue Code Section 125 and stop-loss coverage for City of Cleveland employees for a period of up to 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Human Resources. Director.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. Yes, we are preparing to issue an RFP for all of our healthcare contracts for the period that commences April 1, 2026 through March 31st of April, of 2027. There are several areas, as you can see, that we issue RFPs for various health coverages for City of Cleveland employees. So we are looking to get a quick start on that so that we can be fully prepared by preferably the end of this calendar year. Includes major medical, vision, dental, prescription drug, hearing, life insurance, our voluntary life insurance programs, flexible spending accounts, and stop loss primarily.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions regarding 605-2025? Councilman Kerry McCormick.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Director. Or afternoon yet? Nope, still morning. All right, so on this piece, when we go out for an RFP for these health insurance benefits, do we go nationwide? I mean, let me just put my cards on the table. We don't have a health insurance company downtown like we used to anymore. So, I mean, they made the choice to move to the suburbs. The point is that do we look nationwide here? How do we look for the very best economical bang for our buck?
Thank you, Councilman. Through the chair, we do. As a matter of fact, we quite often, as in this current cycle, have been reached out to from national vendors. We do include national vendors on our distribution list as well. So we do hit both regional and national companies.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions regarding 605-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 605-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next, we have, thank you. Next, we have capital project. Which one is that?
One more of a pay band piece.
Where is it at? What is the number? Is it for introduction and suspension?
It's for
introduction and suspension.
Sections 33
okay, let me
and 35.
get to that. Hold on one second.
Which one is that one?
Sections 33 and 35.
But what's the ordinance number?
It's ordinance number 744-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request an emergency ordinance to amend sections 33 and 35 of ordinance number 194-2021 passed March 29, 2021 as amended relating to compensation for various classifications. Director.
Thank you again, Chairman and Council. This is this piece is as a result of an ongoing look and reorganization by the Department of Information Systems. Specifically in this particular case, it affects two sections. First, Section 33 of the pay band, in which the systems analyst position's maximum rate of pay is being adjusted. And then Section 35 of the pay band, there is an addition of a systems administrator position into the pay band that went through and was approved by the Civil Service Commission on May the 9th, 2025. And then the amendment of a subsequent position from senior systems analyst to senior systems administrator and the associated pay band for that.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 744-2025? Councilwoman House Jones.
Just a quick question. What happened with, through the chair to the team, the systems analysts there where they were reduced, that pay band?
Through the chair to Councilwoman, what we ended up doing is making that more of an entry-level position so that we have a tier. So we have an entry-level, a mid-level, and then the senior systems administrator would be the highest.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions regarding 744-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 744-2025 will be heard for consideration and passage this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I want to move now. I do have another guest, and Mr. Deemer. If you can come to the table, what is that number for Mr. Deemer?
It is right.
737. You find 737?
737.
Introduction and passage, right?
Is it that one?
737.
I saw it earlier. I know.
It's under city planning,
No, it's under suspension.
suspension.
Oh, is it right there? What's that?
737?
Yep.
Here it is right here. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, this is resolution number 737-2025 by Councilmembers McCormick, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency resolution approving the creation of the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District as a special improvement district in the city, accepting petitions from owners of properties in the district, approving the amended articles of incorporation of the Downtown Cleveland Improvement Corporation, approving a new plan for public services, declaring it necessary to provide maintenance, security, marketing, and other services for the district, and providing for the assessment of the cost of such work upon benefited properties in the district, authorizing the Director of City Planning to enter into a contract with Downtown Cleveland Improvement Corporation and declaring an emergency. Director.
Good morning, Council President, Council members. I'm joined here with Downtown Cleveland Incorporated, Michael Deemer, to discuss the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District renewal. This was originally formed in 2005 to provide clean and safe services to the downtown district and has been renewed every 5 years since then. This will be their fourth renewal for a proposed term of 7 years and encompasses over 134,000 134,000 linear feet of property frontage and over 1,300 parcels. The Downtown Cleveland Improvement District provides key services to our downtown core, including clean and safe services such as litter disposal, safety escorts, and outreach, public space maintenance and operations, and economic development and marketing.
Okay. Councilman McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. Fully supportive of this legislation, the first step to renew the downtown Cleveland SID. As the director noted, they've been an incredible partner in the downtown neighborhood. Everything clean, safe, supporting public safety in the community, programming, arts, culture, you name it. They're a critical part of keeping a great neighborhood in downtown Cleveland, Mr. Chairman. And they're doing a great job. And if I may, through the chair, if I could ask our CEO, Michael Deemer, to say a few words.
Mr. Deemer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director, and thank you, Councilman McCormick. I'm joined at the table today by our Senior Director for Policy and Research, Sam Rocco. And I want to thank all of you for not just the opportunity to say a few words today in support of the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District, but really want to thank this body and the City of Cleveland for your participation in the district for the first time as the City of Cleveland. You may recall just a few months ago, I was here at the table and this body authorized the city opting into the Special Improvement District for the first time. And at Downtown Cleveland, Inc., you know, we really pride ourselves at bringing together the private and public sector to advance our downtown and our city. And I think the city's participation in the Special Improvement District for the first time is really an embodiment of that partnership. And I really want to emphasize as well that we work day in and day out with the City of Cleveland to solve problems, to move not just downtown, but our entire city forward. And although downtown is in our name and clearly our focus as an organization, I really look at Downtown Cleveland, Inc. as a city building organization. We're partners working together day in and day out to solve problems that advance not just downtown, but the entire city. The Special Improvement District in downtown is one of the key tools that we have for doing that. As has been noted, it funds enhanced services in the downtown district. It funds 100% of our Clean and Safe Ambassador program. And this is one step in a multi-step legislative process. We will be back here on a couple of different occasions over the summer to work with you to secure reauthorization of the district before the September 8th deadline for submitting assessments for the upcoming year to Cuyahoga County. I would also like to note that one of the other organizations under the Downtown Cleveland umbrella is the Superior Arts Improvement District, represented by Councilwoman House Jones, and we will be working with the City Planning Department, with Councilwoman House Jones and all of you over the summer to reauthorize that district as well. But again, I appreciate the partnership with this body, with the City of Cleveland, the work that we've done together, and I look forward to 7 years of doing even more together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, if I also remiss not to acknowledge Director Mersman, her team, and the many folks that work diligently to get this all prepared, the law department, et cetera, working with DCA to get everything where it needs to be. Just wanted to acknowledge her team too.
Thank you. All right, looking forward to continue. Councilwoman Jenny Spencer. Okay.
Thanks, Council President. I know Councilman Casey had a comment as well. I wanted to briefly note that there will be another piece of legislation today, 669-2025, for the Gordon Square Special Improvement District. So it's notable that we have two legacy special improvement districts at the table today. And for the good of the order, for your knowledge, Mr. President, this is actually the first in 3 pieces of legislation that we collectively aspire to get done before September 8th. So it will be a busy summer. It will be a very tight time frame. A lot will be asked of the administration. And so I wanted to take a moment to publicly thank all of the departments involved who will be doing everything they can to help both of these special improvement districts not only get us to this point today, and believe me, there was a lot there's a lot that goes on. We'll leave it at that behind the scenes to get to this point. of accepting petitions, and then there will be 2 more pieces. So I know Councilman McCormick already spoke in favor of downtown. I'll be doing so when Gordon Square comes up, but we're all in the same boat on this, and just really wanted to thank the departments who brought us to today, and we'll be working this summer to see the process through. Thank
Coming
you.
up next, Councilwoman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Councilwoman Spencer, Councilman McCormick, I want to reiterate what you just said as well. A ton of work has gone into getting us to this point, and I really appreciate the work of the departments, the work of the council members that have worked on this to get us this far. I know more is coming, but a lot does go on behind the scenes, and we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to our Director. I've tried. Director. When the city opted in to the SID, I think the only portions that we own are City Hall and Public Auditorium within the district. What is the city's portion that we pay?
To the councilman through the chair, as you know, I came into this role partway through this process. Happy to get that information to you. I believe that is under the authority of the Director of Economic Development, and so we can share those numbers this afternoon.
Okay. All right. And then I see we come as far south as Carnegie, right? Any thought of just taking it to the lake? I mean, why don't we, how come we don't, I mean, it stops right here. Why don't we just take it?
The councilman through the chair, I think the lakefront property is, as we all know, publicly owned and would need to be opted into the district in the same way as other property. We do, as an organization, hold a contract with the city of Cleveland to program, maintain, and help market North Coast Harbor. We work very closely with the new North Coast Development Authority on the work that's taking place north of Brown Stadium, the work that was discussed earlier around the NCA. So we're always open to conversations about how we can best serve the city of Cleveland and the lakefront in particular. But I will say right now we do have a strong role in North Coast Harbor and a strong partnership with the city in marketing, developing, planning, and maintaining the lakefront.
All right, and I asked that, Mr. Chairman, to the director because one of the things that you offer, obviously, is safety escorts, right? So I'm just thinking if somebody's leaving the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or if somebody's leaving the Science Center or the stadium, would they still be eligible for one of your safety escorts? And because it's slightly outside, but it could be something that could be utilized.
Councilman, through the chair, I appreciate the context and the question. Through our contract for North Coast Harbor, we do provide clean and safe ambassador services, including the safety escort. So with both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Science Center being in that footprint, those services would be available currently.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 737-2025 will be heard for consideration. Oh, Councilwoman House Jones? Did you have a question?
Just add my name.
Could we make sure that Councilwoman House Jones is added to this 737-2025? And if we could, I believe also Councilman Starr. Okay? All right. Seeing no other questions, ordinance resolution number 737-2025 will be heard for consideration this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee.
Thank you. All right, next up is resolution number 669-2025 by Council Members Spencer, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request approving the creation of the Gordon Square Arts District, Cleveland Improvement District as a special improvement district in the city, accepting petitions from the owners of the properties in the district, approving a new plan for public services, declaring it necessary to provide maintenance, security, marketing, and other services for the district, and providing for the assessment of the cost of such work upon benefited properties in the district and declaring an emergency. Director Mersman.
Thank you again, Council President. This piece of legislation is very similar to the last one we heard, except focused on the Gordon Square Arts District. I'm joined at the table today by Phil Kidd, who is currently the city's Complete and Green Streets and Trails Manager in MoCap, but previously managed the SID for the Northwest Neighborhoods Community Development Corporation and currently serves on the SID's board. So the Gordon Square Arts District Cleveland Improvement Corporation was formed in 2010 and provides services including beautification and maintenance, hospitality and safety, events and marketing and administration for the district. It has been renewed 2 times, so this is the 3rd renewal, and encompasses over 4,000 feet of property frontage and 55 parcels. To add to some of the conversation about the administrative process that goes into forming these districts, I'd like to especially acknowledge the Division of Assessments and Licenses in the Department of Finance and the Division of Engineering, Construction, and Capital Projects that are doing a lot of the heavy lifting on these. Phil can provide additional context for the district, and I know that you guys also have detailed presentations for both of these with more statistics if you're interested.
Phil?
Thank you. I'll just add that, as Director had mentioned, I managed this program for the better part of 5 years. I'm now a board member. I've been involved in the last renewal process and then also currently this one. We really appreciate Council's ability to move this legislation forward before September so that it gets on tax bills. We attempted the renewal during the pandemic last time, and that obviously presented a lot of challenges in which we had to work quite a bit with license assessments to address that. We got through it, and now we're trying to, get in front of things in a way that doesn't repeat that similar type of situation. So we really appreciate Council's attention to this legislation.
To add one additional thing, we have a requested amendment for this piece, which I can read out loud or provide in writing.
Why don't you provide to us, and then Councilwoman Spencer, when you're ready? You ready for that? You can read it into record, and then we'll get a second from you. Okay. But before I turn it over to Councilwoman Spencer, because she's worked admirably on this project, and I do also want to thank License and Assessments, Division of Engineering, as well as City Planning. We had a very busy Friday afternoon because Councilwoman was adamantly, expressing how important it was to get this on the calendar. So I want to thank her for her leadership as well. And I'll turn it over to Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Council President. Before I proffer this amendment, I will just echo the appreciation that was stated earlier. Of course, Director Mersman, who's at the table, Phil, representing the Gordon Square Board, our attorney, Jennifer Heiner O'Leary, who worked very, very hard to get this piece ready, along with representatives from the Law Department, including Mary Corneli and Vishnu Ganglani, all the folks in assessments and licenses. Thank you so much. And then also, as mentioned, Engineering and Construction, the Surveys Division, who helped to certify the validity of these petitions and the front footages. So truly an all hands on deck every time these special improvement districts come up.
Go ahead.
Okay, are we good?
Keep on going.
Okay.
But I'll read the amendment.
You will?
I just learned something, but go ahead. You don't have to read them.
Okay, got it.
Sorry about it.
No problem. So I will really wanted to once again be on the record with that appreciation, and I will be monitoring this very carefully, and we anticipate, like I mentioned, there will be 2 additional pieces of legislation that will be heard, meaning that will, for everything to go through, that would need to happen in July and again in August, so an extremely tight time frame, both for this and for the downtown piece we just heard. So I just stand ready to assist in any way I can, and thank you, Council President, for helping make sure that this got on the calendar today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for your hard work. I was informed that you did not need to read the amendment to offer the amendment at the table because it already came up in administrative review. So I simply have to read it into the record, and then it'll be official, okay? So there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in Section 1, Line 2, strike number 669-2025-A and insert number 669-2025-B. Number 2, insert new Section 14 to read as follows. Section 14, that the Director of City Planning is authorized to enter into a contract with Gordon Square Arts District, Cleveland Improvement Corporation, which contract shall be prepared by the city's Director of Law, shall contain a provision requiring Gordon Square Arts District, Cleveland Improvement Corporation to indemnify the city from any liabilities arising out of or related to unauthorized or otherwise deficient petition signatures, and such additional provisions as Director of Law deems necessary to benefit and protect the public interest. Number 3, renumber existing section 14 to new section number 15. This was dated 6/2/2025 by Vishnu Ganglani, Assistant Director of Law. All right, so Attorney, I believe you have that already? Okay, all right. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 496-2025? Councilwoman Spencer?
You got it ready.
669-2025. Councilwoman Spencer, did you have anything else, or you good? Okay. All right. A lot of moving parts today, guys. Bear with me. A lot of moving parts today. But resolution number 669-2025, as amended, stands approved. Thank you. All right. There you go. All right. Next is 496, ordinance number 496-2025, as amended by Council Members Bishop, Hairston, and Griffin, by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to enter into a project development agreement with the Board of Park Commissioners of the Cleveland Metropolitan Park District regarding the design, construction, and use of 4 trail projects located within the city of Cleveland, to grant consent to Metro Parks to construct the improvements, to apply for and accept any gifts or grants from any public or private entity, authorizing any relative agreements, authorize the Commissioner of Purchasing and Supplies to acquire and accept real property and easements, and causing payment of the city's share to Metro Parks. And I'll read the amendment. The amendment states there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in section 7, line 3, strike 10 SF 400, and at line 4, strike if issues for this purpose and any other funds approved by the Director of Finance, and issue and insert issued for this purpose only. This was dated 5/12/25, signed by Sierra Lipscomb, Assistant Director of Law. Director.
Mr. Chairman, we're very excited about this bundle of trails that we're presenting to you today for support. This will allow us to move forward with agreements with the Metro Parks, who's been our partner on these trails throughout both the design and the construction funding applications. And before I hand it over to Sarah to my left, I did want to go through which wards are impacted by each of the trails. And to my right, we have Phil Kidd from the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects, who's our Complete and Green Streets and Trails Coordinator. But the trails are the Slavic Village Downtown Connector North Trail, which impacts wards 3, 5, and 12. The Morgana Run, AKA the Booth Avenue Extension Trail, which is in wards 2 and 12. Then we have the Euclid Creek Greenway Extension Project, and this is in wards 8 and 10. And then the Opportunity Corridor Connector Trail, and that's in wards 3 and 5. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sarah for a quick PowerPoint to orient everybody to where the trails are and to talk about the funding that came into this. And as a reminder, this ordinance will allow us to enter into cooperative agreements with the Metro Parks, and also to allocate certain funds to the Metro Parks for these trails.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sarah Burns-Meyer with Cleveland Metro Parks. Happy to be here with you today. I know many of you have seen this presentation, so I'll run through as quickly as I can, and please stop me with any questions. So we have worked on this project as was mentioned for a number of years. We started with a planning application to the federal government for a discretionary grant program called RAISE, Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, now known as BUILD. And we started off with looking at where could we do a planning project for trails that were identified in the Cuyahoga Greenways Plan, which is a 50-year trail vision for the county, including the city of Cleveland. And so we came up with 4 trail projects that were in this plan. They were significant critical gaps and major regional connectors. So that brings us to the Slavic Village Downtown Connector, which is the north section's part of a longer trail that's very similar to the Towpath Trail. The Opportunity Corridor Connector, which would link to East 55th to the Slavic Village Downtown Connector, Morgana Run Booth Avenue Extension, which builds off of the Morgana Run Trail that the city put in a number of years ago, and then the Euclid Creek Greenway Extension, connecting the lower portion of Euclid Creek Reservation to the lakefront portion. We've built a couple of sections of that already. So our planning grant includes full construction documents for the downtown, Slavic Village Downtown Connector North, as well as the Morgana Booth Avenue Extension, and then feasibility studies, so preliminary engineering for the other 2. And we used a number of criteria that were developed to rate different alignments against each other, including things like a greenway experience, lighting, visibility of the trail. And then our basis for design is standards for what constitutes a trail. And so 10-foot wide is the minimum with 2-foot graded shoulders. And then also taking into account where we could add street trees and what those minimum widths were. And so we all use that to, along with the criteria and public engagement, to develop the best alignments for these trails. And we're at the end of the design process for the 2 that are going to the construction documents. We should be finishing up design in the next couple of months. And then we did receive a construction grant for $19.5 million from same program, the RAISE program. We do not have an executed grant agreement for that yet, so we are working to make that happen. And so we're proceeding, assuming we will be able to put this to bid in the fall and start construction in early '26. It'll take about 2 years to construct, mainly because of the maintenance of traffic. But we would be building those 2 pieces that are in blue in front of you. And just a close-up of the extents for the Slavic Village Downtown Connector North, ties into East 14th and Orange along Broadway, connects down to the segment that was built by ODOT that goes to Pershing from Roseville Court, and then subsequent phases will be built by the city and also by ODOT. And just to look at along Broadway near 30th, East 30th Street, it's taking kind of excessively wide pavement there, doesn't really need the 4 lanes of traffic, takes it down to 2 lanes in each direction with a center turn lane for the majority of that area north of 490, and that allows the trail to be built within the public right-of-way. And then Morgana Run Booth Avenue Extension, as I mentioned, ties together the end of the Morgana Run Trail, and the Morgana Run Trail itself runs into the Slavic Village Downtown Connector, so you're creating loops here where people can get through the entire network. And then this piece takes you through East 91st Street and underpass at Booth Avenue, and then connects into a small piece of trail that's along Broadway right now, and ties you into the Mill Creek Falls area of Garfield Park Reservation. And then that itself has a 2-mile-long trail that gets you down into the main part of the reservation. And so just another example of reutilizing some of the public right-of-way to be able to fit in these trails, and just what a little section of Booth Avenue is going to look like. And then follow-on projects, since we did not get the construction funding for the full extent of the projects, we have some additional design to do. The Euclid Creek Greenway is progressing under a separate contract to finalize the design of the rest of the extent. And then phase 3, that's in that fuchsia color, actually has construction funding. We will be going to build that next year. And then the portion in blue is we're seeking funding for that and continuing the design. So we will have completed construction documents within 2 years and can go after funding. And then the Opportunity Corridor Connector piece, this involves real estate from Norfolk Southern Railroad. So this one we always knew would have a longer lead time. So it's going to take a little bit more time to develop this one, but the connection between the East 55th Transit Station, East 34th Transit Station, connecting with Slavic Village, utilizing some of the Norfolk Southern real estate. It has gone through the engineering review with Norfolk Southern, and so it's now kind of in the real estate realm. And so we'll be seeking funding to continue design and conversations with the railroad on that piece. And then just a note on the connectivity that these projects provide. There are a few other projects that are in play. That Slavic Village Downtown Connector South is in design by the city right now and will be constructed using funding that has been awarded. It was actually awarded a while ago through NOACA, and that is set for construction next year. The central portion will go as part of an I-77 project through ODOT, and the date on that is still a little bit questionable, but that project is proceeding. They're doing revised kind of 60% drawings right now for it. And then you have the connection down on Garfield Boulevard, which is in the orange hatching. That's actually under construction now and will be done in the fall. So it really builds out the network, and you can see the importance of opportunity corridor connector as well. So we will be pursuing that. So we have worked through a lot of those details with the design, and so the project development agreement that's before you today helps kind of cinch everything together in a nice bundle.
And Mr. Chairman, just a reminder that in 2023, we passed an ordinance to allocate $500,000 towards the design of the Euclid Creek Greenway project. And that's a separate ordinance in addition to what we have here.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions that I have before I go to Councilman Bishop. The coordination, when you're looking at some of these road diets like you have on Broadway, do you talk with RTA? Because ironically, some of the drivers have started reaching out saying that, you know, their ability to navigate some of these streets whenever they shrink have begun to cause some of their technicians to have some challenges. How do you look at that and make sure that we're not inadvertently affecting bus routes and other things like that with building some of these roadways?
Okay. To the chair, we had RTA as part of our project team, so they were in our progress meetings every 2 weeks, and so having them as part of that helped make sure that their needs were designed into the project, so minimum widths for lanes, problem areas, some crossing improvements that they wanted to see. They're also pursuing the Broadway transit-oriented development study that's just kicked off with some meetings about 2 weeks ago. And so we're going to be in the ground before their project, and so we wanted to make sure that anything that we were doing was going to accommodate their needs for their BRT project in the Broadway TOD.
Great, thank you. I have a couple of people on the schedule, but I'll do Councilman Bishop first, and then Councilman McCormick and Palencia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we fully support this in municipal service and properties. It's very refreshing to for the southeast side and Slavic Village area to be connected to downtown. We feel like sometimes you feel like you're out in the island, and to have this trail connect to downtown and other parts of the city is going to be a game changer. And I'm going to personally ride it myself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I'll join you, Councilman. Councilman Kerry McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to build off of Councilman Bishop, first of all, I will join that ride. I got to get my bike out of the garage at this point, but I will be there. Mr. Chairman, I fully support this legislation. I want to thank the mayor's team as well as the Cleveland Metro Parks for their hard work on this. You know, I always say council people talk in stories because that's what we live every day in our lives. And I met a new resident to Ward 3 who moved from Detroit a couple months ago for a job, and he was just completely like in awe of our trail system. I mean, talking about how easy it is, how much he loves our trail system in Cleveland. So sometimes we're all just, you know, in the work, right? We're just in the work, we're doing what we got to do, and we forget to kind of look at the holistic picture. And to me, the holistic picture here is, you know, we are a national leader on trail systems here in Northeast Ohio. You know, we just saw that map, right? And, you know, I know we're working to connect dots, but it's just, if you zoom out and look at our trail system throughout the Metro Park system and city right away and neighboring suburbs, it is truly exceptional. And I just want to really highlight that partnership, city, county, Metro Parks, and other Canalway, other folks that have been involved in our trails over the years, and celebrate that. I mean, this is a great news story out of Cleveland that our folks of all different neighborhoods across the city are getting access to high quality trails that connect them, whether it's to work or to green space or other opportunities, and really safe and comfortable infrastructure across the city of Cleveland. So again, I just want to really thank you all, and really shout out the Metro Parks. You guys have been a steadfast partner to the city of Cleveland on these types of projects, and that's noted. And so I want to thank everybody. And again, this is really great to see develop all around us, and really encourage folks to get on bikes or walk or however they get around, wheel, roll, however folks get around on these safe systems. So Councilman Bishop, let me know when you're doing that. I don't have like the fancy skin tight biker clothes, but I'll put some shorts and a t-shirt on and jump on my bike, and be happy to take these trails for a spin. So thank you all so much.
Thanks. Thank you. Councilman Mike Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. Councilman Bishop will be on a Harley, and Kerry's going to be on an electric bike. Okay. Mr. Chairman, there's been a lot of discussion lately how long it takes to do things here. And I will tell you, on the Euclid Creek Greenway Extension Connector, I've been talking about this and working on this since Mike White was mayor. I can remember meetings with Ken Silliman. So here we are. When did Mayor leave? What, 2000?
Long time ago.
25 years later. So my question is to whoever can answer with regards to the Euclid Creek connector. I thought that the connection between, and I think Councilman Harrison thought the same, between Euclid Avenue and St. Clair would take place this year, but now we're being told next year, correct?
Through the chair to the councilman, the construction will start next year. It's actually about 800 feet north of Euclid, but from the end of the phase 2 up to St. Clair. It'll go to
from the
construction.
tracks, okay.
Yeah, construction hopefully in the spring is what we're shooting for.
So the funding is completely in place now for that portion?
Yes, the funding is in place, and I say that with the caveat because it is federal funding. However, it's through formula funds, which are not discretionary funds that have more of, some scrutiny on them.
Okay. So then so we're not guaranteed?
I would say we're 98 on that one.
Well, give the characters in Washington the 2%, I got to worry. Then from the tracks, from St. Clair to Lakeshore Boulevard, what decade do you think that will happen?
Through the chair to the councilman, we are working to make that one a reality because we've narrowed that distance, narrowed that gap already with 2 phases. We'll have the 3rd one constructed.
Okay.
So we're hoping with the design being completed over the next year and a half, that we will be in line for construction. And we have worked with NOACA on the other phases.
Okay.
So we are hopeful that we can get that one done here within the next 3 to 5 years at the longest.
Okay. Well, I support these projects. I have for 25 plus years. And we just got to figure out how to do things quicker around here in the city. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how long it takes to get stuff done around here. When I look at some of these projects, how long I've worked on them, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, it's like incredible, incredible. And we all know that costs increase. They don't go down. So the longer it takes to do this stuff, the more it costs. And so whether it be this or the other projects we're working on throughout the city, we have just got to figure out how to maybe get more of our private partners involved in these projects as well, foundations, et cetera, because it just takes too long and we lose critical time. And as my colleagues have repeatedly said, the more of these improvements we can do, the greater attraction it is for people not only to stay in the city, but to move into Cleveland. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Rebecca Mora.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. We had a really extensive conversation about this in MSP, so I won't rehash the ground, but I will just say that since between the MSP meeting and now the team for the Downtown Connector Trail came to the Forest City Block Club and had a great conversation with residents. I just really want to thank them for being engaged. This is a fantastic project that will really change the look and feel of these neighborhoods, and so I wanted to thank the team for making it out to the Block Club.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 496-2025 stands approved.
Thank
Please
you.
sign on. I do have one more piece. I believe this is yours. This is ordinance number 614-2025 as amended by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the director. This is Director of Parks and Recreation. Okay, so I'm gonna do Parks and Recreation, then I'm gonna do Public Health, and then we're gonna break, okay? So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so Parks and Recreation, if they could come to the table. This is ordinance number 614-2025 as amended by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to donate 3 sewer easements to the city of Garfield Heights or its designee for its sewer separation project at Crawford Park and declaring the easement rights granted are not needed for public use. And the amendment states as follows. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in section 4, line 4, after City of Garfield Heights, strike to indemnify the City of Cleveland, strike lines 5 and 6 in their entirety and insert to maintain and repair its sewers and appurtenances located within the easements and pay any applicable taxes and assessments. This was dated 5/30/25, signed by Shirley Tomasello, Assistant Director of Law. Director.
Good morning. Thank you, Council Chairperson. This item for the sewer easements is a project in partnership with the City of Garfield Heights. And as we proceed with this item, I would like to defer comment to Garfield Heights City Representative.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you, Council, for hearing me today. I'm David Bridenstine from OHM Advisors. We are the consultant engineer for the City of Garfield Heights. We are currently working on 3 projects right now to do combined sewer separation on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, South Parkway Avenue, and Thornhurst Avenue. They are 3 separate projects, but all 3 projects have property inside the park that need easements. These sewers, the current combined sewers, go to the Mill Creek Interceptor. We've gotten funding through NERSD to separate these and put storm sewers on these 3 streets. These are also downstream of potentially 5 more phases of projects. It's pretty much the whole neighborhood that we're looking to separate over time. In order to get the storm sewer down there, we need to get the easements in the park, that's probably enough to explain this.
Appreciate that. Commissioner, anything to add?
Apologies for my tardiness. Yes, I want to add, so there are 3 permanent sewer easements that are needed. They are valued at $29,056. But the City of Cleveland will donate these easements to the City of Garfield Heights in exchange for some additional improvements that the city is undertaking as part of this project that will benefit the park property, such as installing catch basins, repairing damaged sidewalks, paving, and that sort of thing. This is work that the city would otherwise have to complete on its own, and the value of the improvements is $49,378, so the net benefit to the city will be about $20,000.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that input. Okay. Councilman Bishop, Municipal Services and Properties, are you supportive of 614-2025 as amended?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we fully support this for passage.
Thank you, sir. Any additional questions on 614-2025? Hearing none, 614-2025 stands approved. Please sign. As a reminder, please sign all committees that you sit on. Appreciate that. You got another one, Director? 658?
All right. Thank you. All right, this is ordinance number 658-2025 by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Education for the 2025 Summer Food Service Program at Camp George Forbes, authorizing the purchase by requirement contracts of breakfasts, lunches, and of food products, beverages, condiments, and paper products to implement the grant for the Department of Parks and Recreation, and authorizing the director to contract with various nonprofit organizations for the implementation of the program. Director.
Thank you, Chairperson. We have been operating camp out of Camp Forbes for a number of years, and as a part of supporting the youth in our community, we provide meal service as a part of the camp participation. To provide additional context and detail, I have invited Commissioner Gissentanner to speak as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chairman, and to the committee, this is our annual reimbursement grant request through ODE in the amount of $75,000 to purchase and prepare meals for our youth attending camp for the 8-week summer program. ODE has supported this program for the past 20-plus years.
Awesome. It's a great program. Very familiar with it. Councilman Bishop.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we fully support this for passage.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 658-2025? Seeing no questions, ordinance number 658-2025 stands approved. Please sign on.
All right,
thank you both. Appreciate it. All right, public health, and then once again, we're going to take a break. This is ordinance number 602-2025 as amended by council members Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Health to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Commission of Minority Health to continue operations of the Cleveland Office of Minority Health, and authorizing the Director to enter into one or more contracts with other agencies, entities, or individuals to implement the grant. Director.
Thank you to the body. This is our routine legislation allowing us to accept funds from the Ohio Commission of Minority Health. And to answer any questions, we have Commissioner Lita Wills, Commissioner of Health Equity and Social Justice, and the program director of the program, Rafiq Ali.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 602-2025 as amended? And let me read the amendment. I apologize. Read the amendment into record. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in section 2, at the end, after authority, insert RQS 5008 RLA 2025-22. Dated 5/15/25 by Kevin Roberts, Chief Assistant Director of Law. All right, Councilman McCormick.
Just very briefly, I want to thank the team in front of us here today for their great hard work on behalf of the residents of the city of Cleveland. So I just wanted to make sure that we don't see you at the table all that much. So while you're here, we thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. And I want to just take a point of personal privilege as well. I got a chance to meet with Ms. Marsha Mockabee, the president and CEO of the Urban League, about 2 weeks ago. And we know that, I believe in 2021, we declared racism as a public health crisis. We then set up pillars in order for co-chairs to continue to work on this. And she expressed her gratitude that the health department, especially you and Ms. Lita Wells, that you guys have been really continuing to stay engaged with this process. And I know that I've gotten pulled in different directions. I've asked for some reinforcements, people who really have a passion for this. So I'm really asking Councilman Conwell and Councilwoman House Jones to really look at some of the recommendations that they've made. I'm pretty sure you've heard or seen the documents because we really want to, in coming to the Urban League agenda, really make sure that we reiterate the work that's been done. So I want to commend you guys for continuing to work. A lot of times people don't realize we're legislators. We get pulled in different directions. We don't have the specific task of carrying out projects, but specifically both Ms. Mills and Ms. Wells have been really involved in this and continuing to keep that ball moving, and we really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Any other questions regarding 602-2025 as amended? If not, it's 602-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Next is ordinance number 613-2025 as amended by council members Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Health to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Health for the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant Program. And the amendment states there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in section 2, at the end, after authority, insert RQS 5005 RLA 2025-25, dated 5/15/25, signed by Kevin Roberts, Chief Director of Law. Director.
Thank you, the City Council. This is a legislation to allow us to accept the grant from the Public Health Emergency Preparedness from the Ohio Department of Health for the grant period, and with me to answer any questions is Commissioner Francis Mills.
Thank you. Ms. Mills?
Well, this is a grant that we receive that allows us to really operate in the background. This is public health work that goes on that if was not in place, there would be a great deal of harm that would happen in the community. So this grant allows us to do disease surveillance. So with the measles epidemic eventually going to stop in Cleveland, it's already stopped in Cuyahoga County, it allows our disease surveillance specialists to mobilize with our emergency preparedness team and our epidemiology team to make sure that we are in a position to make sure that the residents are safe. It allows us to prepare training for not only the health department staff, but to work also with our emergency development department and other local and regional emergency preparedness professionals to keep us prepared in the event that an emergency occurs in the community and in the region. So that's what these dollars are for. It supports 3 FTEs and allows us to support community events and training as well.
Thank you. I know a lot is happening in Washington, D.C. Do we see these type of grants for epidemiology being threatened at the federal level?
Sure. Through the Council President, City Council, the current budget from the President has it at about half of what it was the previous year.
That's what I thought. I've been
Concerning.
reading a lot about it. I didn't know how much we got cut here in Cleveland. But also looking at the private institutions, it's my understanding through the grant with Ohio Means Jobs or somewhere that the clinic and several of the other hospitals have this $600 million innovation project that's supposed to be helping to track infectious diseases and contagious diseases. Are we working with any of the private institutions? Are you aware of what I'm talking about?
Through the chair, it could be the Center for Health Affairs
Yes.
has the hospital preparedness grant. That could be it.
Okay.
It's not $600 million, but maybe it's their portion of the $600 million from the federal government. And so, yes, we work closely with them.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any other questions regarding 613-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 613-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you so much. And we're going to adjourn for lunch. I'm going to ask everybody to reconvene at 1:00 p.m. 1:00 p.m. We're going to reconvene, and we're going to start with Public Works and Capital Projects. Thank you.